fast life meets the fast lane.
Yeah.
You're now tuned into Bars and Hoops Radio.
Yeah.
The world of hip-hop and sports live.
Dropping the clutch and then I hit the gas. Wheels screeching, tires burning, I'm flying past. Gotta get home quick, don't wanna miss the class. They schooling you on whips and how to make them fast. Talking about everything from cars to planes. What's hot, what's next, and how to flip the game. They talk in my language, we speak the same. That whip talk complex, but yet they keep it plain. From the news, the interviews, they keep it cool. They give reviews, everything from parts to tunes. Can't lose, come to whips, they not no fools. Don't miss the show, the start time is noon. The bearded one, S.I. Sean, they crazy though. You can't miss it, tune in the Rally Radio.
Where the fast life meets the fast lane.
Whoop, 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 whoop. Can y'all hear us? Let us know if you can hear us. What's going on, y'all? It's the bearded one here. Rally Radio's in the building. Shout out to everybody who's tuned in, paying attention. You already know how we get down here. We are in the building early. Shout out to everybody who's rocking with us. You already know what it is. Don't forget, drop a like, drop a comment so we can shout you out. We got a special guest in the building today. Y'all ready for him?
What's going on, guys?
What's going on?
How's it going? How's it going? I'm Kevin. I'm a licensed motorcycle coach.
Let's go.
Here to hang out, have a good time, and maybe answer some questions.
That's what I'm talking about. You already know what it is. We in the building, y'all. We got the third camera in the building. Yes, let's go. You already know what it is. We are in the building, man. Shout out to everybody tuned in, paying attention. You already know what it is. The bearded one in the building. And we got my guy, Kev Paray, a.k.a. Motorcycle Coach, in the building. He's going to be putting us on today, man. You got a lot of people out here making a lot of mistakes. And we want to know why. What's going on with you? You want to make sure that they know what they're doing, man. Shout to Mr. 2J Castings in the building early. Let's go. That's what I'm talking about. Sorry for the tardy start. As you know, no engine starts when you need it. You always got to prime it. Ain't that the truth? You know what I'm saying? But shout out to everybody who's tuned in, paying attention. As you know, you can see us. We in the building. Shout out to my guy, JT, in the building too early. You already know what it is.
Yep.
You see, oh, Papa, let's go. He said, my G, what it is. Yo, it's crazy out here today. We going in today, man. Like I said, sorry for the late start, but we are in the building. With that being said, man, Kev.
What's going on, man?
You're in the building today. What's going on?
Yeah, man. I've been watching on and off. Been always enjoying the when I can catch it. You know, sometimes I'm coaching when you're on live. When I can catch it, I'm enjoying. I always pay attention, and you know, sometimes I add a little commentary if you remember.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
So I'm just happy to be here, man.
Well, I'll tell you what, we all happy to be here in the building today. I'm gonna tell you, man, it has definitely been a rough day. A rough on my way in. A lot of things going on out here. You know, we start, you know, this is how we start. We jump right into it. We call it the cold start. We going right in, man. I'm going to tell you, I noticed a couple things, man, and I wanted to talk to you about it. So, went to the crash lot the other day. Don't ask me why. Went to the crash lot, looking out there. Shout to JT. He said, doing the Lord's work. You know. Called myself going to the crash yard the other day. And I went with a friend. It wasn't like I was looking for anything for me. You know what I mean?
Right.
And when I got there, I noticed there's so many high-end cars in the crash lot.
Yep.
And when I say high-end, I mean high-end. I'm talking like M3s, M5s, Grant. I mean, you name it. Benzes. And I'm just saying to myself, are these cars casualties of what's going on out here?
Never know, man. A lot of guys, it's not like back in the day when you had 200 horsepower, 250, you was enjoying it. Now anybody can finance, get something that might be beyond their control for all you know.
Damn, say that again. Might be beyond their control. And I think that's what's going on. I was out there, you know, just looking around, and and the amount of damage. Like, I'm talking to my homeboy. He's like, yo, you know, I could cop one of these for 10,000, fix it for 15. I got a $50,000 car for 25,000. I'm like, yeah, but how is it though? Like, is it broke up? Like, I don't know. From what I saw, he was looking at what was it? The BMW like it was an older M5 though.
Right.
It was an older M5. One of my favorites actually, the 08 M5, that V10.
V10, nice.
So I'm saying to myself, like, why you even want to look at that kind of like? I mean, you understand that it's going to be a lot, and then we was talking about this last week. You know, not only that, you got to do so much engine work to it just to get it popping, just to get it working again. So I was like, you sure that's what you want to do? And he was like, yeah. And I just couldn't understand, like, well, why you want to do that? But the damage, it looked like the Hulk took it and just bent it across his knee, like beep. I couldn't understand. I'm like, why you want to deal with this? Shout to everybody who's tuned in, paying attention. Don't forget, drop a like, drop a comment so we can shout you out. And the more I started seeing it, I'm like, damn, it looked like whoever was driving and lost control of it. I'm like, yo, you can't just pull that out. Or even if you can, it's not going to be stable.
Right.
You feel what I'm saying? What's your thoughts on that?
You know what? It's really easy. Like, you see in videos from other countries, even guys get a completely smashed cars and not going to go back on the road here. They ship them over there. And you're looking at it and it's like, yo, like, all right, it looks good, but it's like lipstick on a pig. Like, all right, it looks good. You're going to pull up to the meet. It's going to, everybody's going to say, all right, it looks good, hard park. But when you got a car like that, you see them driving them. You see them pushing them.
Right.
You don't want that car that you just spent 15, 20,000 fixing up, ending up right back where it began.
Right.
You're better off just spending the money on something that's not been crashed.
Right. And I'm saying to myself, like, why do you, like, I get it that you want the car, but it's like, why that? But then that's not even the real meat and potatoes of it. Pause. It was more like, how are these cars ending up here like this? Like, I mean, like, I'm not going to lie, Kev. I was like, wow. I don't know if I would be the same, but a lot of the videos I've been seeing, a lot of these young kids or whatever, like we said, they lose control of the cars, don't even know what they're doing. First and foremost, I posted the video in the group. And for those that don't know, we do have our own group, Gutterball Rally, the community. Don't forget to send us a request if you want to join into the group. We have a lot of things to talk about, a lot of things that we actually do in this group that we will be doing in the summer. I posted a video of a kid that was losing control of his Hellcat in the rain. And I'm listening to him. First off, it's auto. I'm not going to hurt the feelings. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my guy, Dolph Spalding, in the building early. You already know what it is. Let's go. So I'm like, you can hear 4 gear changes before he like slides out of nowhere and crashed right and tore the car.
Yep.
And I'm just saying to myself, like, this is why a lot of these cars are ending out in here, man. Shout out to the Brown Hornet. He's in the building as well.
It really don't take much for these guys. They put their foot down and think about it in video games or whatever. It's really easy to make that jump. Like, all right, I got the car. Let me step on it. Yo, my boy could do it. I could do it. And it's really easy. I mean, we were young too. You get caught up in that ego quick.
That's a fact.
But back then, we weren't talking about Hellcats or even Scat Packs or what's it called? A 330 or 340 with a tune. Like, we weren't pushing things like that. You got a front wheel drive Civic. You step on it and you're just sitting there. Like, it's not doing what these new cars are doing.
Right.
So, I mean, I still have it. I had a Fox body back when I was in college, a Mustang. And even though that thing had no traction control, no ABS, no safety features, I was lucky to be pushing 250 wheel horse.
Facts.
If I was lucky after all the work I did to it.
I'm gonna tell you this. First of all, shout out to my guy Corey Bradford in the building. He said, "You play stupid games, win stupid prizes." This is very true. But I will say, it's to me, it's like you said, like it's like when we was first starting out, the biggest thing was Honda, right? Maybe Honda, Nissan. If you had a couple dollars, Mazda.
I'm a typical brown kid. My parents said, "Here's a Camry," you know. As a kid, but
go ahead.
I was gonna say, but at the same time, like, even if you was cutting up, you was doing whatever, you could stand on that throttle and 80, 90 miles an hour was like the limit before it's like, all right, I'm gonna back off.
Right. And I feel like at the end of the day, a lot of these kids, they standing on cars with 800 horsepower out the dealer. And I'm like, a Hellcat Red Eye. He's like, oh, I took my Hellcat Red Eye and I went through the hood. And I watched this other video the other day and we talked about it then too. It was a guy that was driving he was driving a car and they was racing. They doing what they call swimming. right?
Oh man.
Oh boy. So you already know what I'm talking about here.
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna say this. Even when I'm on the bike, like you're always watching in the rearview mirror because, like I said, guys are swimming. They're cutting up left, right, center, and they're not really. They're just see a gap. They're going for it. They're not looking beyond.
Right.
Like in any sort of trained performance driving, you train people. You look far ahead. Now you're in traffic. You don't have a lot of sight. You don't have a lot of forward vision, and you're cutting up. That's why these guys are macking it, why they're just wrecking out. Because the thing is, they hop up on something, all of a sudden it's more than they can handle.
Right.
There's so much going on. There's no escape paths. And they're either taking out some innocent person, taking out, their car into a guardrail, who knows, because they're swimming.
Right.
I mean, I can't say I don't see the appeal, but the thing is, I leave it to the racing sims. There's no hezzy servers,
Yeah.
So it's like, you play online, you really get into it, but then guys literally take that and it's like, nah, we do it in real life. What do you mean in the video games? It's like, yeah, in the video games, I wreck out, reset back to the beginning.
Call it a day. Respawn.
But you got guys out there literally acting like, like, oh, if I crash this, that's all right. I'm gonna just respawn.
So here's my thing. The one that I saw in particular, and that's what I was telling my homeboy. You looking at this beam? I said, let's get it straight. The reason a lot of these Beamers are sitting in here is because dudes are buying them, crashing them, and they lease cars. Yep. The insurance companies, like, they getting money by selling it to the people. And I'm like, at the end of the day, it's not really helping you. What's going on? First of all, shout to the Brown Hornet. Like I said, he's in the building with us. He said, laugh out loud, yeah, we had a lot less horsepower and torque to play with when we were young. It's a fact. And he said the Acura Legend was one of the fastest at that time at a 3.2 liter V6, and he's right.
And you were looking at, like I said, what, 240 horse, 250, 260, whatever it was. And it wasn't set up like a performance car. It was a nice, comfortable cruiser with enough power to get out of its way.
Right.
Now you're looking at cars, and it's not, I'm going to actually take the blame off the kids for a second. It's not their fault. Everybody, it was the horsepower wars. All these companies wanted to say they had the highest horsepower in class, the best performance, fastest time on a Nürburgring. You sell somebody that dream.
Right.
They finance, they're paying $500, $600, $700 a month, as a, they said generational wealth. They talk about generational debt for these young cats,
because they wilding.
Yeah. They spend all their money. They got no responsibilities, or maybe they do, but they still got decent enough credit. And they turn it around.
Now, Mom Duke's got to be copping.
Yeah,
I'm convinced. Because even I'm like, damn, this is an $80,000 car.
I'll be honest with you. When I was in my 20s, I remember they're like, oh, you still living at home? We're gonna put a 0 on that on when you're doing your credit app, and all of a sudden you get a 0 on the housing payment on that credit app. All of a sudden they're like, you got no expenses. Let's go ahead and get you into a nice. At the time I was shopping for a Focus RS and I was looking at that and a Scat Pack, and I didn't do either. I was like, you know what, ain't for me. But still, they were like, you're 25. Go ahead, man, have it.
You know what's crazy though? But I can't front in hindsight. First of all, shout to everybody who's they're paying attention. Shout to the Brown Hornet. He said gentleman's agreement between JDM and the USA. They couldn't produce cars of 300. Not the USA though. That was the strictly a JDM handheld agreement. Even though those cars was putting out way more, they all shook at 276. And it's funny, I didn't even know that till Gran Turismo when it first came out.
Yep.
All of the cars were 276 till you took it and changed the oil. The oil, now they had 350 horsepower. You're like, oh.
I saw a video back in the day with the R32 GTR. Dude, just all they had to do was cut a couple wires in that glove box and the thing was fully unlocked. And that's all it was.
It's crazy. Shout to the Brown Hornet, though. We appreciate you, King. You already know what it is. I will say this, however, though, right? After seeing all of this and saying to myself, it brought me back to when I went to the Dodge dealership. Shout to everybody who's paying attention. Everybody knows I went. So I went to the Dodge dealership, and I was ready to sign in blood for this Hellcat, man. Yep. I ain't gonna front.
Yep.
I was ready to do it. I said, nah, that's it. It's mine. I'm getting it, right? And the only reason I didn't get it is because at that time they was having a chip shortage. So they was like, we can't give you the manual. And I was like, you can't do what?
I'm good.
Yeah, I was mad. I was angry. Sit back. But I said, you know what? I'm not gonna get it. And then I went and got the Type R. And that's why everybody was like, yo, how'd you go from I was like, because they both, to me, are the far spectrum of their driving experiences.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like the Type R definitely has his driving experience, and the Hellcat also has his driving experience. So I was definitely moved by that. Shout to the Brown Horn. He said, laugh out loud. Yeah, Gran Turismo. With that being said, we are in the building. We are here. My man Kev is here, and we about to get right in, man. Y'all know how we get down. Normally, we do a lot of different news and things like that, but today, because we have a special guest, we're going to jump right in to our driver's etiquette, because that's going to be what I got Kev over here. He going to teach y'all a little something, so make sure y'all pay attention. Don't forget the number to call up, 516-206-0711. With that being said, let's get into what we got to do here.
Driver's etiquette. Because sometimes you got to get this off your chest.
All right, we are back in the building. You already know what it is, man. My man Kev in the building. Let's go.
What's going on? Like I said again, man, I'm happy to be here. Glad to answer questions.
Tremendous. And that's what we need today, because I don't know if anybody's noticing, and I was saying the same thing a little while ago. Like the car community is what it is. I feel like if you in the cars, you're in the bikes.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that. If you're in the cars, you're in the bikes. So with that being said, we're gonna jump right into this. Like, what started you on your path?
I mean, for me, you heard me joke about being a typical brown kid. I mean, I remember being a kid, straight up just typical teenage stuff, just arguing with my parents, having that whole whatever. And one of my dad's friends pulls up on an orange, I want to say 08 Hayabusa.
My favorite.
Literally mid-argue my folks, this dude pulls up in an 08 Hayabusa, and my dad's like, great timing. And I'm just like, one day, you guys don't know, I'm going to go ahead, get my bike license, and get me one of those. Like, it was straight vengeance at first, but then it ended up being like, actually, no. Like, I sat on bikes, I started like looking into it. And, and it was like in college, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to get me a bike.
I hear that. So me in particular as well, I ride. I got a Suzuki GSX-R 1000. And what started my whole journey was MotoGP. Was you in the MotoGP at that time?
Nah, not really, to be honest. I mean, there were some video games and stuff. You get on, you play, and it was like motorcycle race and whatever. But it was just that entry level, like, you know what? I want to do something different. I'm going to get something with two wheels. Like, it was just because of that mechanical aspect. Like I said earlier, I had a Fox body, I've had some cars, and I was like, let me get into bikes. It was just from I'm just going to get into it. And even that was my first bike wasn't your typical, young cat sport bike, nothing. My first bike was a Honda Shadow, a cruiser.
Woo!
I mean, it's not like I didn't ride the thing. I went up to Bear Mountain. I would take long trips, go out with friends. And they're actually, funny enough, we're car guys. So they're in BRZs, FRSs, Miatas. Mm-hmm. And then you got me on the bike just cutting up behind them, just trying to keep up with my little cruiser. So I did it a little different. I'm not gonna say I was your typical, young guy on a sport bike, but love of riding, man. Two wheels is something else.
So that's also what I wanted to talk about, right? So a lot of people, like, they say, oh, riding is dangerous. It's not one of those kind of things you should be doing once you get over a certain age. And you like this, come on. I feel like you enjoy it more when you're older because you have more sense. Mm-hmm. What's your thoughts on that? Like, what are some of the misconceptions that you think that a lot of people have about riding a motorcycle?
I mean, I'm going to be real with you, man. Anytime I get on that bike, anytime I put that helmet on, I accept, like, somebody can make a left turn in front of me. Somebody could be, like, swimming on the southern state and not see that I'm there. Like, anytime you get on the bike, you got to accept, yes, you're taking a risk. I mean, my girl even was like, hey, make sure your life insurance got my name on it. But, like, I mean, I say that. Even my mom's, when I took the MSF, I told her I got my license. She literally was like, all right, I'm taking a life insurance policy on you. Like, yeah, it's real. Like, anything can happen anytime you get on a bike. But at the same time, it doesn't have to be the most dangerous thing. You don't got to be on the southern state cutting up doing 90. You don't have to be, in the cut with like 100 bikes at a meet. Like, there's ways to enjoy motorcycling safely.
Right.
So that's the main thing that a lot of people miss.
I think that ultimately, too, that's exactly what happens. I believe that a lot of people think it's dangerous because they see a lot of things and on the news and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm gonna be honest with you. If you got your wits about you, and that's another thing I can say I like about motorcycle riding is that you're using everything.
Yeah.
Ears, eyes, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Hands, every extremity. Like it's like you got to be present in order to really enjoy it. So with that being said, right? Now that you're an instructor, what's the biggest mistake that you see people make when they're riding? What's the biggest thing you have to correct?
Honestly, too much bike. Like having too much bike. A lot of guys think, I need a Ninja 600, a Ninja 600cc 1,000-liter bike. Oh, my friend said I'm going to get tired. Nah, it's not like that. Like if you have a good bike, if you have not even a good bike, if you have good experiences, if you're not just trying to ride straight lines, of course 495 is going to be boring.
Yes.
But if you're not afraid to just take the local route, find a curvy road, head upstate for a ride, meet up with friends, but not too many. I'm saying meet up with friends, not a group ride. There's a difference.
Right.
You can enjoy riding without having the biggest bike, without having the most powerful bike. And the other thing is just not enough training. And I don't mean like you got to take a class. I don't mean you have to, be on a track with an instructor. I mean, set up some cones, go in a parking lot, work on your low speed. Anybody can ride fast. Anybody can go to a dealership right now without even having a license. Get a BMW, S1000. Hit the Southern States.
My favorite.
Yo, I'm sorry. I see too many dudes. Like, I know this one guy might feel slighted because he's like, yo, you talking about me, Kev. Like, listen, it's not just him. I see too many dudes go to the dealership. Yo, I got a BMW 340, whatever. I'm going to get an S1000. Go, oh, now he's really going to feel targeted. And and they're like, yo, I'm on the 495, ripping it. And we've had people show up for class. I know I'm not supposed to say too much about it, but we had people show up for class saying that, oh, I've been riding on the highway 6-7 years. I ride out to Jones Beach, and they can't hit a U-turn.
Wow.
They can't do, the U-turn box, the cone weaves, like the basics of just being a rider. Like it's wild.
So, you know what? I also, when I went to get I was one of those, I had bought a GSXR 750. Right. And I remember I bought this motorcycle, man. I bought it from what was it? The motorcycle spot on Howard Beach over towards that.
I think I know which one.
Cross Bay
Motorcycles.
Right.
Yep.
So I went and I bought this car. This motorcycle over there, man. And I took it out. I had just a permit, had insurance and everything. Bought a matching jacket, helmet, motorcycle. I was ready to go.
Yep.
And then it was like, all right, here comes the bike. Right. Okay. I had only rode a motorcycle twice in my life. I bought a brand new motorcycle and they brought it out and he's like, yo, you know what to do with this, right? I said, yeah. He looked at me with the most concern. Like he was like, he said, bro, you know what? This is the shifter. This is the brake. And I kind of knew the basics, but I had to ride it home.
Yep.
Which was actually at that time in Queens. So I'm coming from Brooklyn. So I had to get on the highway.
Yep.
Shout to my homeboy Ox, man, because he drove a Civic behind me so nobody would like try to weave into
run you over. Yep.
But my first reality at that time was that I looked down, the concrete is right there, and somebody weaved in front of me, and I was like, yeah, this is serious. So with that being said, right, what is the rider community dying? In your opinion, like, are you seeing more people ride street bikes or are they cruisers? What are you seeing more of over there?
I mean, I was just I'm going to just shout out real quick, Cycle Gear Cycle Gear across the country.
Yes.
Always host their bike night. I think it's the second Tuesday or first Tuesday of the month. I was just there this past week. It's a lot of sport bikes. You heard me clowning on BMW S1000. It felt like every other bike I was looking at was a BMW S1000.
Ooh. Shout to my guy Marlon. He said, fire for that, yeah? Early. Shout to Jessica Grandy. She's in the building. And Crispy211 said, tell that about that S1K dude that got cooked by Kenny on the Z125.
Yo,
Let's go.
Crispy, I was trying not to talk about
You're
it.
trying not to talk about the street. The street life.
No, like that's the thing. It's like you listen. We were like I said, we were at Cycle Gear. Crispy, shout out to you, man. He was just there with me as well. And we were there, and lot was packed out. You know, even 2 years ago, Revzilla since closed down. But I got to shout out. Man, I forget her name, but she hosts Wicked Wednesdays, and it's another bike meet, and it just pops up all over the place.
Really?
And I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a lot of sport bikes, but you still got cruisers, you still got I got an adventure bike, you still got adventure bikes pulling up, and they'll pack out the block, they'll pack out the streets. You know, there's still plenty of bikers out there. It's just a different crowd, you know, as older heads age out, life happens, whatever.
Right.
There's always a new cat, there's always a new cat. Now, that being said, as an instructor, then you end up with somebody sending me I stay in touch with some of my students. They'll send me a Facebook ad like, yo, should I buy this? And it's somebody's stretched, funny enough, GSXR or something. And I'm like, yo, don't do that for your first bike, dude. Don't do it. It's like, yo, you don't need a 750 with a 6-inch stretch on the swing arm or something.
Yo, but you got to be careful of them stretches too, because a lot of times they be hiding nitrous bottles in the swing arm.
Mm-hmm.
Shout to my mom, she's tuned in. Shout to my mom, Diane Postel. How you doing, mom? She's tuned in, she's watching. So we gotta watch our language. Now I'm messing around.
I've been trying to keep it clean. I've been keeping it clean, man.
Yo, it's a family show. But continue on. So you were saying that you see more.
Definitely see a lot more sport bikes out, especially on like the weeknight meets and stuff. I've seen a lot more sport bikes.
Really?
You see a lot more cruisers, and now I'm clowning myself because I got a metric cruiser. It's not a Harley. It's a Honda VTX. 1300. I pull up. I park next to a Harley guy, and he'll ask me, "You really got to park there?" Like that happened. Like, dude was just like, "What do you like? Do you really got to park? Like the Rice Rockets is that way." I was like, "They ain't accepting me either." You know, but
yo, that is yeah. Yo, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to laugh so hard. That was crazy. He was like, he looked at you like, yo, you gotta be here.
You gotta be here. Like, I'm like, yo, my bike, like, I joke, like, my Suzuki, my adventure bike is like, it's like a Wish Ducati, and my Honda is a Temu Harley. Like, I always crack on myself on those bikes. They look the part,
yeah, but
I ain't paying the premium like some of those brands,
yeah.
And it's really easy to get caught up, like I said, in just those premiums.
But I'll be honest with you, right? The price of a lot of these motorcycles are like, because now they Ducati money.
Yeah.
So because they Ducati money, it's like now I'm gonna buy the Ducati.
Right.
You feel what I'm saying?
I mean,
I think that's where they losing out right now.
Mm-hmm. Even the new DRZ 400, Suzuki just brought that nameplate back, brought that bike back, brought it over to fuel injection, and it has a $9,000 price tag on it.
Whoa.
Like, are you like, why would I get a 400cc like
for $9,000?
Right. But that's the thing. A lot of these bikes now have traction control, have ABS, have digital dashes.
Right.
And all of that costs money.
Yes.
Whereas, back then you had a couple of analog gauges. Hell, some bikes didn't even have an RPM gauge. Damn. And like, I'm talking to the bikes we teach with, like, they don't have, not all of them have RPM gauges. Not all of them have, they're older bikes, sure. But at the same time, you don't need all of that.
You know what? And that's where we was going to next with what I wanted to ask you, right? So now, right, you get a bike with all of these things. Do you feel like it makes you a better rider or it makes you worse?
I say there's certain things that it makes you safer. Like, I'm not going to lie. Like, I took a couple of years off riding and I bought the Suzuki, my V-Strom. And I'm just in a parking lot and somebody just dives out in front of me and I'd been out of practice. I'm rusty, and I hit that front brake maybe a little too hard for the conditions.
Oh boy.
It kept me, that bike kept me up. It kept me safe. I mean, another time I was on the southern state, the coldest day I was on the southern state, December 2023. It was like 22 degrees out, freezing, and traffic checked up and I hit a patch of ice. I'm going to say, there was some of my skill, but that bike definitely played a role. I'm not saying, like I said, I feel like I'm focused on the S1000, but other bikes like that, have all those features, wheelie control, all this stuff really keeps you safe.
Yo, so it works, but does it make you better?
It doesn't make you a better rider. It absolutely does not. I mean, even Honda is now coming out with the e-clutch on some of their bikes. So
the minute you say E anything, I like turn the music off. We shut the show down. That's it. Have a good one. We go home now. I'm messing around.
But that's the thing. It's like I had a student, and like you said, riding's for any age group. Guy was like somebody's 60-year-old grandfather. Just decided, you know what, now's, and that's the thing. He's like, now's the time. In his words, I ain't getting any younger. And it was just like, he decides he wants to get a bike, and we're trying to teach him the basics. Hey, you got to slip that clutch. You got to really turn your head. You really got to get your body weight right.
Right.
You know, we're telling him the basics, and he's like, oh no, I'm going to get that Gold Wing with the E-clutch. I'm like,
what's that?
Like, what's that? And I had to look it up. It has a clutch lever, but it literally prevents you from stalling. It's like the clutch lever is it's a dummy switch. It literally, it still works like a clutch, but you don't stall it. It'll do the clutch for you. Yo, honestly, I know. I'm sorry.
Whenever we hear these things, we know it'd be like this.
No, but even that same guy, it's like we're trying to teach him, hey, how to keep the bike up at low speed. He goes, nah, don't worry. Like, once again, Gold Wing dudes. He's like, nah, the dealership already outfitted my bike with the landing gear.
With what?
Yeah, little wheels pop down. What's going on, man? Little wheels pop down when he's coming to a stop.
He said landing gear. See, so here's my thing, right? My thing is always going to be when it comes down to like bikes, right?
Right.
To me, what I like about my GSXR, and this is why I haven't sold it. And shout out to my mom. She is like, get rid of it. You don't need it. But, you know, it's the last pure motorcycle.
Yep.
After that, it turns into something else. You know what I mean? Shout to Desmond, the nose hunter, in the building. Don't forget, everybody knows we're in the building here today. But I will say, with that being said, man, my biggest question is, right, when it comes down to motorcycling, right, what would be the ride of your life? Like, if you could have any bike, any road, anywhere you want to be, where would it be and why?
So honestly, I don't know what bike would be like the dream bike. Like, the thing is, there's always a certain bike for whichever road you're riding.
Yes.
You know, it's like there's no one size fits all. It's like cars, you know?
Yes.
It's not like any car can like whip it on the track, be comfortable, long ride, and anything like that.
Uh-huh.
But definitely would love to like bounce pretty much it like if money was no object, if I could literally say, hey man, here's $200,000. I need you to set this route up for me.
Whew.
Like that. I'm just throwing a number out, right? Uh-huh. I would love to pretty much ride the coast, like just going down the coast, across the country, whatever, and every track, and just maybe like a Versus 1000, something, or Kawi has the H2SX. It's the H2 in a touring-esque setup.
Shout to S.I. Sean, because I know he just literally, if he's listening, he just stood up, screamed, and sat back down.
But then I would love to stop, and it's like, all right, I pull up here. Here's a DRZ 400. Go do some off-roading. Pull up here. Here's a track. Go hit some laps.
So
it's not a one-size-fit-all.
It's not a one-size-fit-all.
No.
So I would say, me personally, and this is gonna sound crazy, I love MotoGP.
Right.
MotoGP was one of those things that really got me into like motorcycle riding. Like, on top of, you know, having friends, we in the hood and everybody having a bike, MotoGP was like my thing. Yep. I loved it. I watched it every Saturday or Sunday when it came on, and there was one place I always wanted to ride my motorcycle, and that is going to be Sachsenring, in Germany.
Yep.
And I was like, you know what? If I could do that, that would be great. That was always one of my things. You know what I mean? But I will say that motorcycle riding to me has changed. It really opened my eyes, even when it comes to driving. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So with that being said, we talked about this earlier, but have you ever went down?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Definitely when I first started riding. Also, shout out Wally. Wally was one of my students, and now, funny enough, then he started at my job a couple months later. But
shout to Wally Diaz. Don't forget to subscribe. Good to see you.
Yeah, but no, when I first started riding, like another thing that people get wrong, they'll take the MSF. Like I made this mistake too.
Uh-oh.
I took an MSF, and 2 years passed before I got my license. It's not before my license, before I got my bike. Like I got my license, I got everything squared away, and then I was in college. So it took me 2 years to get a point where it's like, all right, you know what? Screw it. I'm getting this bike. And the problem with that is skills diminish. Like if you out of practice, if you haven't been riding, you're not as good with the clutch. You're not as good with the brakes. And especially you take a 2-day class, you get your license, you can hop on the 495. Doesn't mean you're ready to ride.
Mm-hmm.
And then you put 2 years in between that. So when I first started riding, I was literally hanging out with my friends, leaving a Fast and Furious movie. I couldn't be more typical in my life.
Wow.
We all did this one. I love it. Let's go.
So all my friends speeding up, slowing down, speed up, light to light. And now we're pulling up to a light. And I'm not even going fast. And I just grab a little too much front brake as I hit a manhole cover by Tanger Outlet. And the bike caught skidded, caught the lip of the manhole cover and just flipped me.
That's this guy.
That was
over here. Shout to Desmond, the nose hunter. He's in the building. Let's go. Go ahead, Des. Tell him what, because I want to hear this one too. I know you took a little tumble, but it was like a little e-scooter you fell, and it was no joke.
Yeah, it was a powerful e-scooter. I think it went about I think top speed was like 45.
Nice.
And I'm terrified of bikes. That scooter is still in like my mom's storage too. I got to fight. Shout out to Roll Good. I think it was it was a Roll Good scooter.
And
they made like high powered scooters. So I was coming down 2nd Avenue because he was the first person I called when I fell. And I ain't gonna make it.
I'm like, yo, don't worry about it. You feel better.
So I'm coming down there and I hit a manhole cover.
Yep.
So like it's broken. It's like ripped. It's got like the wiring's coming up. So I'm flying down there and so I hit it. Boom. Now, people don't realize some of these scooters are heavy. The battery's heavy. This scooter's about 40 pounds. And I flew off. I flew into the middle of the street. I believe it was between 112 and 111 on 2nd Avenue.
Ouch.
And when I said I flew, I wasn't even going like 40. I was probably going like under 20. But I flew off the street. My knee hit the ground. It dislocated. I ripped my patella radiculum. Part of the quad tore. And I was surprised I was even able to. I couldn't even walk. Like I sat there and I was like, first thing I was like, Pop, I can't even fucking call. I think I'm supposed to give you.
He's supposed to boxer.
Yeah,
he
coach boxer. Yeah.
Tell them why they call you the nose hunter, real quick.
So my coach gave me. I call myself the nose hunter because my wingspan. I'm only like 6 foot. I'm not 6. I mean, you're 6'1". I'm 6 foot and like a half an inch. And my wingspan is like a 81. So like a 6'6" wingspan. So my coach said, keep that jab coming because when you start going upside that nose, they stop coming forward. So he's every time I would hit guys, they would bleed like in sparring, their nose would bleed, and I'll keep trying to hit. And then I said, okay, and I got also another reason I got into a little physical altercation.
We'll leave that one.
Yeah, not with somebody in car community, but that's about it. Yeah,
I mean, if you don't mind, I want to circle back. Yeah. So, as an instructor, I actually teach. So I'm a shout out my motorcycle school, the motorcycle school I work for, On the Road Again, OTRA.
Yes.
Dope.
Yeah, and I teach so they have campuses at Suffolk Community College, Nassau Community College, and Queensborough Community College.
Do they?
Yeah, and a lot of heads show up because they're riding e-scooters, and they might get caught up. They don't have their bike license. Cop gives them a hard time, whatever.
Yeah.
But you can tell the mentality behind them scooters. I'm not trying to fault you, but it's such a low barrier to entry to get onto 2 wheels with these e-scooters.
And they get dangerous.
And it's dangerous. And nobody talks to you about all the gear all the time. You've heard that phrase, ATCAT. Mm-hmm. So it's like when I went down, I flipped end over end, like crushed the exhaust, broke the handlebars, the whole 9, and I walked away.
Ouch.
And because I had $4,000 to spend on a bike, and I spent $2,500 on the bike and $1,500 on gear.
Oh wow!
Well, I'm okay.
The gear saved your knees.
So I was like, I'm saying right now, I'm wearing riding jeans. I had my reflective, my jacket with pads in it. I had some Alpine Star shoes, like all of that. Even though they look like sneakers, they saved my ankles. They saved me from abrasions. That happened on a Sunday. I was back at work Monday.
I gotta interject a little bit there. I've also went down twice. Right. And I remember the first time I fell. Oh my goodness. I fell and I was coming up Merrick Boulevard. Somebody came out of a turn lane. You know how you got the turn lane.
Yep.
And they came out of the turn lane. They seen me. They stopped instead of keep going. I'm thinking I could weave out of it.
Yep.
I was too deep. I was too deep into it. So I tried to weave out. I hit the floor. I slid across Merrick Boulevard, man. Yo, I got up.
That road rash. Yep.
Bleeding.
Jeans was ripped. Yo, I was picking rocks out of my arm. Oh man, the bike shut off. It was crazy.
Yep.
But I will say he's right. If I was, because that's one thing when I used to ride too, I just no jacket. I used to just get outside.
Yep.
And I had to get out of that. You know what I'm saying? So it's funny that you talk about safety, Kev. Continue.
No, it's really easy. I mean, like, it's really easy. Like, yo, let me just grab, like, I could just be at the house and it's like, I mean, I'm not saying I'm perfect, but it's like, yo, I'm just gonna run down to, 7-Eleven, grab something real quick or whatever. And it's so easy to just hop on the bike, throw your helmet on, and go.
Sometimes some people have no helmet.
Right. Oh, I was on Sunrise Highway. I was on Sunrise Highway, and there's this dude, and I don't mean to say anything, but the way the dude had it was a Indian cat, and the way he had his turban wrapped, it looked like he was wearing a helmet.
Oh my God.
And I pulled up next to him and I'm like, yo, dog, where's your helmet? And he's like, I'm like, no, not. Like, dude, like, where's your helmet?
Where is your helmet?
Like, not like, all right, I understand no gloves. Like, I can understand. Listen, the only thing that's required in New York State is a DOT helmet.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And some dudes don't even got that. Like, I'm talking, like, forget even no helmet. Like, let's ignore them for a second. I had a student show up to class and he hands me his helmet, and where the DOT stickers is some writing in Chinese. And you pick this thing up and it felt like it felt like you could stretch this thing and break it with your hands. And you've been riding on the street on funny enough, on an e-scooter for years with that thing.
Well, I'm gonna keep it a buck. A lot of the Germans, that's what they was doing. They was cheap $50 Germans. They was buying the DOT sticker, they sticking them on the back. But we used to call them brain buckets. Let's keep it a buck. Like you go down. Yo, I had a German. I had one that I used to keep on the back of the motorcycle. Right. I had my full face. Right. I was taking the German off the seat because I had company. You know what I'm saying? Want to sit on the motorcycle. I take the German off, and in the midst of it, I fumbled it and dropped it, and it cracked. Yep. I said, "Yo, that's it." I said, "I'm through with it." And
that's the thing. You even have helmets that have them DOT stickers, like you were saying, the brain buckets, and the stickers are fake. They're not real brain buckets. I knew a dude who was cutting up on a Harley, and we get off, and the thing was like as thick as like a sheet of paper. Like, it was just like.
But also too, it's funny. We was just mentioning in boxing, your headgear is like a helmet too. It doesn't stop concussion. People don't realize like concussion doesn't stop on a bike. You hit your head on the ground, you get concussion.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's a laceration and cutting and things that happen when you hit the ground. Crack your skull.
Yeah. And they have an explode rate. The helmets, they have a rate at what. If they hit the ground, what rate they'll explode. Shout to my guy, Coach K, he's in the building. And shout to my guy, Dave, he's tuned in as well. And shout to Draco, we see you. They have like an explosion rate. And then we can go into the brand of helmet.
Yep.
See, now now you agree with me. What brand of helmet would you say is just the minimum as an instructor?
Honestly, I'm going to, once again, like, it's really easy to say, oh, this helmet's the best. It's really easy to say, oh, you need a $1,500 helmet. Oh no, my $300 helmet's good. You got to do your research because every brand can have a great helmet or a bad helmet. And the worst part is, especially these Amazon brands or wherever you find them online,
Temu,
or Temu or whatever, that DOT cert, that's a self-cert. It's a company saying, hey, this helmet's good enough. That's all that means. It's not even completely verified. ECE, Snell, all these other ones, well, mainly those two. Those are the main two. They send it off to get certified. DOT, United States regulations, typical. The company's looking on the best interest of the consumer. Yeah, okay. DOT, the companies themselves are certifying this helmet's good, and they might send off one in every $100 when the model first releases to get certified. That's it.
And a lot of people don't realize you can't just buy one helmet and have it
Mhm.
for 5 and 10 years.
And helmets expire.
There we go.
Helmets expire. You know, if you're riding every day, like my helmet's only about 2.5 years old. In my mind, that's already expired because I was riding every day.
Mhm.
You know, you have somebody on the other hand buys a helmet, parks their bike, doesn't ride it for 4 or 5 years. All right, let me jump back on. That helmet's fine. You got to check that. Even though you stored it inside and everything, it still's not affording that same level of protection.
Check the seals and everything, so it's not
wears
loose.
out.
Yeah. Let me ask you, what do you think about the guys that wear, like, you know, you see guys on bikes and they have like the helmets that just cover the back of the head, like the metal ones, like you see all the guys in Rough Ride videos, they wear the ones that
The
like,
brain
stop.
buckets.
Yeah, the brain buckets.
Brain
That's-
buckets.
yeah, those are trash.
Dude.
Trash.
Like your face, your jaw,
Yup.
nothing's
Trash.
Then the dude's like, oh, so and so had their jaw wired shut because they crashed on their bike, and it's like, yo, and that's the other thing. The amount of people who pull up when you're and you're like, oh, I'm an instructor, or before instructor, oh, I ride motorcycles.
Right.
We all know somebody's like, oh, my sister's uncle's brother, cousin crashed and died. Like, dude, I don't need to hear it. Like, I accepted that. Like, I accepted I'm gonna get on this bike and something could happen to me. I get it. I don't need to hear. Like, I had somebody come up to me like, oh yeah, my cousin was in a parking lot and he crashed and he died. I'm like, yo, that's extreme. It's a parking lot. Was he wearing his helmet? Yeah, he was wearing his helmet. Well, what they don't tell you until I pressed them a little bit, dude had his helmet sitting on the top of his head. You know what people guys do? Just literally sitting
trying to look cool.
Right. Rolling through the parking lot, trying to look cool. And he went down at 10, 15 miles an hour and he hit his head just right. And that's it.
And most people also too, like, you know, I'm not comparing it because a bike is different. No matter if you took a martial or anything. Listen, even me flying up that old scooter and going through the air, I knew how to land.
Yep.
Like I slap my hand on the ground for tuck, but still my knee still hit the ground. Right. The thing about the bike, you said 10, 15 miles per hour. People don't realize, just like if you jump out of a first story window of a building, you're on the ground floor, you can pass away because of the impact. And 10 miles per hour. See, what happens is that people panic, they flare their arms out, their head goes first, and that can definitely happen. Now with those bike helmets like that, I'm terrified by it. I'll probably never own a bike. But if I had a bike, I'll put knee pads on. I'll be able to do with the knee pads on. I'll do with the hat, with the elbow pads. I would put the helmet on. I said, I don't care how I look.
Right. I mean, that's the thing with motorcycling, though. I mean, you wouldn't even know it, but my jeans and everything has the pockets for pads, and you can get new pads, and even those expire every few years.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I got pads in my jacket. They sell armored sweatshirts, all that stuff. That's what really keeps you safe, you know?
So with that being said, right?
Yep.
With that being said about with motorcycling, what's your top speed you've ever reached? I know we going into from one extreme
actually,
to the next.
no. I'm gonna go ahead.
In Mexico.
In Mexico.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna go ahead. I mean, pretty sure. What is it? 8 years now? What's the statute of limitations? No. Nah. So remember, I was telling you about my dream ride, right?
Yes.
So way back, a friend of mine, he was got married young cat. Like the dude was like 23, I was 25, something like that. And a month before he got married, he decided, yo, I want to ride across Florida. So I want to rent some motorcycles and we're going to go ride Florida.
Everglades and all that
yes,
too?
We literally started in West Palm, cut it all the way across west, chilled on the beaches there, went down through the Everglades, and that was the end of the first day. And the second day we went down to Key West, chilled, and then back up to West Palm. 770 miles in 2 days.
Oh,
wow.
Now, at this point, I had just crashed and rebuilt my first bike. I'm very green. I didn't have anybody I was regularly riding with like that. Like, I had no business riding the way I rode.
Yeah.
And I told this dude, yo, it's your wedding. It's it's your wedding. I'm the best man. It's my job to make sure you make it there in one piece. Yo, this dude took that as a challenge.
Oh my God.
Yo, and he was like, yo, if God wants me to marry this girl, he's gonna make sure I make it to my wedding. Talking about
yo, he's wilding.
And he made it.
Talking about overtaking people like triple digit speeds on 7 Mile Bridge going down to the Key West.
Oh my gosh, I know what bridge you're talking about.
Yeah,
too.
yeah. You know,
it's paved too.
There's no margin of error, and that's why I understand it. Like I was that dude. Well, he was that dude, and I just like cursing him the entire time. Like, bro, why are you doing this to me?
Right.
Because I'm trying to keep up with him. And we were, and that was speeds 120, 130. And we're coming back now. Instead of taking the main road up from Key West back along Miami, whatever, we're taking like this side road. 1 lane going, 1 lane coming.
Uh-huh.
And,
no, you got to be careful, guy.
And it's like wood guardrails, trees, swamplands, and the bikes are rentals. The bikes have $1,000 deductible if you were to wreck them. And the 2 bikes, the guy was an Italian American dude. It was a Harley Davidson Fat Boy, Screaming Eagle, like fit him, and a Ducati Multistrada. Oh, so the whole thing was whichever bike he didn't want to ride, I would ride. So he was switching back and forth. It's his, bachelor party.
Right.
And it's just me and him, and we're coming up. And this car, like, we're weaving in and out. Like, I'm speeding. He's doing a consistent 90, 100. And I'm weaving in and out, speeding up to 120, slowing back to 80. I'm getting confident, end of the ride. And this car cuts me off as I'm overtaken in the oncoming lane. And he cuts back in, but that's too late. The bike starts to wobble, And I just panic / start falling off the bike, and I accidentally clutch up.
And it locks.
And no, I clutch up and like bring the front wheel up.
Okay.
Oh.
And just keep it pinned, 3rd gear. And like I said, I'm falling off this bike. And as the bike front wheel comes up, I'm falling off. I accidentally kick it into 4th. And I just keep it. And I'm struggling to stay on whiskey throttle. I don't know how I'm staying in control of the bike. And when that front wheel touches down, that speedo read 145. And that was the first time I ever done a wheelie in my life.
Yo, he did a wheelie. Hold on. Yo, did you check your drawers after that?
I
60 back home.
Yo, I pulled back, and I'm doing 50. Now all them cars I was overtaking are now overtaking me.
Yo.
And it was a long road. We get to the end, my boy's like, and once again, I've been good. I've been like chill. Hey, whatever you want to do. He was like, hey man, what happened? I've been waiting. I'm like, shut up. Shut up. We chilling. Like we're not doing anything else. The rest. We got 60 miles left. I don't want to hear a single word.
Wow. That is yo, let me tell you.
I came back and sold my bike.
I'm gonna tell you my experience has always been like when it comes to motorcycles that like when my GSXR 1000, like I said, to me it's the last pure motorcycle. It's one of the last that it doesn't have a fly-by-wire throttle.
Yep.
It's full throttle cable, right? No assists on this bike. The only thing it has, right, it has the fuel map dumbs down the first gear so you don't take off and pop wheelie, because that's what it was having problems with. But I have a power commander which wiped that out, right? So now I have like this my bike power commander, full exhaust, headers,
no governor, nothing,
all of that, right? And I will say that my top speed, I hate that. I know the people I love are listening, but my top speed, I was on my way to Atlanta. I was on my way from Myrtle to go to Atlanta to my homeboy's funeral. He had passed away during Memorial Day weekend. I mean, the week prior. So I'm calling myself, I'm riding out there, right? And as I'm riding, I just hit this stretch of road. And I think we've all been there, like where, you want to see, like, my homeboy was young when he passed away. He was 27.
Man, sorry.
You know what I mean? So to me, it was like, damn, man, like, how could this like happen? Well, let's take life by the horns.
Yep.
There's nobody out here. It's empty. I could see up to the horizon. Now it's time to see what you got, right? I take this motorcycle, I downshift back in a second, and then I'll punch it. 3rd, 4th, 5th. I took it all the way 6th gear, top end. I was doing like 195, 197.
Yep.
And I'm up there, and everything is like now the dots and the lines look like one line. And I'm like, what am I doing?
Yes.
You know what's the most dangerous part of that though? Slowing back down.
Right. Absolutely.
Slowing back down. That had to be the most dangerous. I mean, I was like, I can't just gear down.
Yep.
Because the bike will start wobbling.
Yep.
Oh man, it took me a minute to bring it back down. When I did, I said, I said to myself, I'd never do that again. But that bike is capable, man.
No, it absolutely is. I mean, personally, it's really easy. And this goes back to a lot of young guys and they need a 600, 750, 1,000, MT-07 3-cylinder, MT-09, 10, whatever, because they don't want to go from bike to bike.
Right.
But the thing is, they don't realize it's really easy, even if you don't have the fastest bike, to put yourself in a dangerous situation.
Oh, yeah.
My bike, my current bike, I tuned it up myself, did the exhaust, my Suzuki, my Honda, it's a carbureted, whatever, and I've rejetted everything. It's really easy to get those bikes up. But like we was talking about, 10 miles an hour, 50 miles an hour is enough to kill you with the helmet. It's really easy on these bikes to be doing 100, 110, 120, and that's
Nothing.
Gone. Like as soon as if something happens to you, if you fall off that bike, that's it.
And you know what I will say as far as the shout to Marlon, he said, after this show, you are no longer Mummy's angelic son.
Nice.
Shout to my guy, Anthony Green. That's my brother right there. Shout to Anthony Green. I will say, that was like eye-opening, but like you said, like you could get yourself in a jam.
Yep.
Easy.
Yep.
And you don't have to have, like you said, 1,000. You can get yourself in a jam in a pedal bike if you do something wrong, if you're in the wrong place.
Yep. I mean, not trying to expose all my friends, but I helped this friend get just a Triumph, like nothing even crazy, And I was like, hey, it's a great beginner bike, a little on the heavier side, but you'll be able to handle it, whatever. And I get on, and he was like, yo, we're rolling together. Let's just take all local roads. Yo, we get to the southern state, and he blows by me. He's like, yo, change route. And we hit the southern state. And this dude is pushing that little bike. And I'm like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, yo, like, I called, like, we were going to split ways on the highway anyway.
Right.
When he got home, I called him, like, dude, what are you doing? Like, that's, like, some of the cuts, some of the moves, some of the whatever. And people don't realize your little 400 Ninja 500, these modern bikes, without a lot of displacement, still make the power, still have the gearing, and it's a bike. You can sit there on the higher RPMs, it'll take it.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, everybody thinks, oh, no, I need to have, a big bike, long gears in order to hit them speeds. No, you were just saying your 750
was doing that.
Can do it.
Was doing that. And I will say, on the right night, you show up on the southern state, there's a dude out there with an R6 all blacked out. He will get, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
I've always said that, like, you don't need a powerful bike, especially when you're going to the turns.
Yeah.
When you're going into the turns or whatever have you. But that to me was an eye opener. Just like I said, I went through the riding community. I was in a bike club, was out riding with people who think they know how to ride. And then you see, when I went to the safety course, that's when I was like, oh, it's different. So with that being said, you're not only in the motorcycles.
Yeah.
You're in the cars too.
Yep.
What you got for us? What projects are you into right now?
So I've had two long-standing projects. Yeah. I have a 89 Mustang. I've blown it up 3-4 times just being stupid with my friends, and started when I was week after my 18th birthday. I blew it up for the first time. It was my parents' car originally, since new.
And what's this again?
Fox body 89 Mustang. I blew it up a week after my 18th birthday.
Manual?
It was automatic. I converted it to manual.
Could we give him?
And the joke with that was my mom was. So I blew up the automatic. I was doing, old Mustangs have this thing you used to do in order to get it to hold second gear, because they don't have a 2 on the shifter.
Right.
You'd go from first to drive back to first.
Yes.
And what that would do is hold second gear, but it would burn the trans out.
Yeah. And
I did that a bunch of times, racing around with friends and whatever. And when I swapped it to manual, I didn't tell my moms, like, hey, look, I got a new trans. All right, slap it in. Oh, no, I need some more parts because it's a stronger transmission. Not telling her it was a manual. And I'd never even changed oil myself when I swapped it. Took me 3 months because I'd never changed oil. And to do that, you got to pull the whole interior, got to put pedal box, the whole 9. And I swapped it to, manual. And the whole thing was I was making $8 an hour. So it was all junkyard. And I was working part-time in college. So it was literally all junkyard parts, man.
We all been there.
Yo, it was literally like, oh, I've wrecked my drag car. I'm selling this clutch and flywheel out of it. $80 is yours.
Another $50 on that and get an upgrade.
Then the transmission, the guy told me, oh, great trans for rebuild. Great core. Threw that right in there, just like it was.
Oh,
Yo, I had no money. It was like, hey, I've never done this before. I'll do the swap, and if it doesn't work, I'll pull it apart and do it again. And that swap held up so much that I tore up 2 engines.
Yeah,
Same trans, tore up 2 engines.
Shout to my guy Daryl Gores. He's tuned in. He said, "What's good?" You already know what it is, kid. Don't forget, drop a like, drop a comment, so we can shout you out. With that being said, I will say right now, you said that's a Fox body.
And then my other project,
oh boy,
is a '74 Volkswagen Carmen Ghia with the motor out of a '92 JDM Corolla in the back. So it's a Toyota 4AGE bolted to a stock Volkswagen. And unfortunately, life happens. That car's been sitting on ice for a little bit, but the swap's in. It's wiring, which up until recently I say I sucked at.
Right.
But now I'm finally at a point where I'm comfortable with my wiring. Like, all right, let's get into it. So, and I got to shout out to bikes. Like, anybody who loves working on cars, working on bikes, it's a different level of relaxing because everything's right there. You don't got to crawl underneath it to work on it. Now, on the other side, you screw up on a car, a wheel flies off, you got 3 more.
You got right.
On a bike,
right.
A bike, you get that wrong, like you're skidding across the pavement.
Yeah, you're finito. There's no saving that. You like, well, I tried.
Yep.
No, sir, it didn't work.
It's like, hey, it's pulling a little to the left in the car. And you try, you get an alignment. Hey, my motorcycle's pulling to the left. Excuse me? Like, no thank you.
They ain't trying to hear it. I will say, so that's the Ghia. I've seen the pictures of the Ghia, and I've seen how like the engine goes in the back.
Yep.
Boy,
it's the same chassis as Volkswagen Bug, just a little longer.
Okay.
So it's the same thing. And there's a guy out of South Africa who did the similar swap. I have a 20 valve, he had the 16 valve.
Okay.
But his was turbo. And I hit him up and this dude's on the drag strip, big slicks, the whole 9. And I'm like, hey man, what's your motor mount situation like? So the stock Volkswagen Bug just hangs off the trans tunnel.
Right.
And I'm like, hey, what's your motor mount situation right? Like, and he just sends me a picture, him doing a burnout, motor hanging there, no mounts. Same thing like the Bug. And I was just like, have I been overthinking the swap? I think so. Let's get it in there.
Well, you know what? I will say that does happen, especially when it comes to swapping. You already know, like, project cars are exactly that. They, you know what I mean? They projects. It's like you just can't even get around, like, really, really like the little things.
Oh, I know. My
little things.
And then the worst part for me, I 3D print. So motorcycle instructions is my weekend gig. I went to school for engineering, so I got that behind me. And my Honda VTX, the 1300, like, it was like, oh, I bought that bike for $2,500. It was just supposed to be
nice.
And it was only 10,000. The guy had it listed for 16,000 miles. We finally got the thing to turn on because it was having issues. Right. And the odometer said 10,000. I just looked at him like, yo, dude. And he was like, yeah. I'm like, I'm gonna be real with you. And I told him, like, it actually only has 10,000. He's like, you're honest. Act like it's 16 when you negotiate. I'm like, all right, cool. And got the bike for $2,500. Got it home. Shout out to my boy Kenny for help from RPM days. He got me home. And it was just supposed to be, just tires and a carb clean. It's never just tires and a carb.
Never.
It's never just
bushings, all type of stuff.
Oh, so that bike, let's see where it's currently standing. I'm chasing some carburetor leaks, but like my air intake on that, I was looking at the stock airbox and I'm like, that ain't it. Because on those bikes, it's big and off to the side. It's a cruiser. I 3D printed my own intake. I designed and 3D printed my own intake to use a typical like K&N style filter.
Could we give it up one time? Could we give it up for Kev one time? He out here 3D printing his own parts.
Start making manifolds too.
Word. Shout to Kev. Continue on.
Yeah. So then it's like it was just supposed to be it's just supposed to be a tire change in the carb. And then it's like, well, I'm pulling the carb apart to clean it. Let me rejet it. You know what? Since I'm rejetting it, I can throw that intake on there. Let me go ahead and design an intake. Hey, that rear suspension's a little seized. I joke that I was like, man, this thing's really bouncy.
Yes.
And one of my boys like, nah, you just got fat. I'm like, thanks, man. So I went to adjust. so I went to adjust.
What are friends for?
Right? With friends like those. No, I went to adjust the suspension and it was seized because the bike sat for so long that it bent my coilover wrench. Like typical like BC coils coilover wrench from back when I used to have a Honda Fit, slammed on coils, used to autocross it.
Like I like those. Do
Great
some
car.
Can they come in? Do some come in LSD or no?
No limited slip. But if the car that small and that light, you don't feel it. And
They let off the gas, let the car run into.
I got stories on that one. But, yeah, and next thing you know, it's like, well, all right, now the Honda, the VTX,
Yes.
I went and threw airbag rear suspension on it. So that was the latest thing. And it's like tucking the hiding the compressor, doing all that. And that's the thing. It's so easy with project cars or project bikes or anything like that. It's never done. Well, I say that, and I finally hit the point in my V-Strom where I'm just like, there's nothing really worth doing. Like, no, that's the thing. Because like I even did a custom headlight. I had underglow. I ripped it off because I was like, it's too much. Like it gets in the way of maintaining the bike.
Yeah.
Custom headlight, custom switches, wires. I got the little GPS mount on there. Like, you know, I tuned it myself with the dyno jet, put my own map on it. I adjusted it because those are tuned for emissions.
Yeah.
So I put a little tune on it to make it more responsive when you're doing that low speed stuff like I was talking about. So there is a point where it's like you hit diminishing returns on a project, admittedly. You know, it's like, you know, you can max out your platform where then you start asking yourself, do I keep going or do I find something else? And that even goes back to the beginning of what you were saying, that limit for, you know, do I keep going or finding something else is so much easier to attain on these modern cars.
That's like me with the Volvo, right? Like a lot of people who own S60Rs. This is why you don't see them on the road like that anymore. A lot of people, the weak point is the transmission. Now, it's not the Getrag M66 that's the issue because it's the same as a Mini Cooper. So Mini Cooper, the RS3 and the Volvo S60R have the same transmission. It's the same type of M66. The issue with this is the plastic shift forks. They have plastic shift forks in there. So when they break,
Plastic.
because what it is,
I'm sorry, that gets the understeer real quick.
It's the understeer.
That's it. That's
so
crazy.
I guess the reason why they put those in there, I guess maybe to make it more smoother, make it more lighter. They didn't want a gearbox to be notchy because you know the shifter got the space ball. It's supposed to go through the gears real quick.
Yeah.
The problem is that when you make power and you make more torque, say you're making 500 hours, they all break. So a lot of people build automatics, right? So with the Volvo, it's like, okay, I can make 700 horsepower with the 5-cylinder, but at what risk? And I asked the dude, I said, yo, if I give you a broken transmission, I pull the shift forks out of it. Can you make metal ones? He said, yeah, but you're going to have to make probably about 500 of these because I'm not going to, for me just to turn the machine on is going to cost some money. And I'm like,
I love it.
Then you have to go try to see if you can sell the shift forks on the internet.
Right. They
then
want somebody there.
And who's going to buy? Group buy, right? Like $900 for 6, you know.
Well, that's the thing. Like, then when you look at, well, that's why guys like some of these, like this one YouTuber, y'all know Rob Dom, with the rotary and stuff. That's why he went and said, screw it, and bought his own CNC because there's a lot of this small stuff. Like, that's funny enough you mentioned that. My job, we CNC parts for Lockheed Martin. Just going to call it what it is.
Oh, amazing.
Just what it is. But you know what's funny?
Wait, hold on. Kev. For those that don't know who Lockheed Martin is,
how do you not?
Be shocked.
Tell
them who they are.
Yo, they are one of the biggest military. I'm pretty sure because I mentioned your name on your radio, you're going to see them pop up in the corner like, oh, somebody said us. Because they are one of the strongest military outfits out there.
Yeah.
And they also working with McLaren right now.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, they working with McLaren on their on this car they just came out with. They was working with McLaren.
Oh, nice.
To make it fast as far as like, they want. I was like, jet. You have people who make jets working on.
I mean, Saab.
Yeah. I mean, now we're just on a tangent real quick. You remember the Honda brand Skunk Works and became Skunk 2?
Sure.
Yeah.
The phrase Skunk Works was from Lockheed Martin. Lockheed Martin Skunk Works came with a lot of these planes, SR-71s.
Makes sense. It's American animal with American name.
Yeah. If I'm not messing up that story, that from my understanding, that's what it was. It was Lockheed Martin's like undercover engineers getting together on the weekends. And I say that going back to you find a small enough machine shop. They might charge you an arm and a leg, but they might be, if it's a project they can get invested in and get in behind, they might do it. Yeah.
But see, the car's so old, they start making them 07. And the thing is, like, I would probably only have a European customer base. Now, you do have people in Europe that do machine and play around with these, like me.
That's probably my next bet. Then I'll probably go to Europe.
Shout out to Buck Built, right?
Let's go.
You know, no Bucky, right? I was talking to Bucky. I told him yesterday. I said, "Yo, you know what? I have a new job. I'm trying to save money, do overtime, whatever. I want an E36 with a 5-cylinder swap." But I found where they have the adapter plate for the M50 transmission, different, and they have for the dual clutch. So they have adapter plate, they have the custom flywheel, everything, and the custom mounts that you could put for E36 or E46 BMW. So remember, the 25-year mark is coming for a lot of these cars. So get yourself a 325 from 2000 as a blown motor,
and you're good.
Yeah.
Yep.
See, here's my problem with a lot of that though, because what's the longevity on parts? See, that's another thing, and that's another tangent. We're gonna talk about that when we finish over here with Mr. Kev, because I got a couple more questions.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
So my question for you: give me your 5 most iconic motorcycles.
Oh man,
your top 5 most iconic motorcycles.
You know, this list, like, I'm a little all over the place. You know, it's like it's really easy to just start naming off Japanese bikes. It's really easy to just focus on American, like, because if you ask anybody, you know, but it's like if you're looking at a rounded list, right? If you look back, honestly, the Honda used to have the CBX 1050, the 6-cylinder. Sounds like an F1 car.
Oh wow!
You know, that paved the way for a lot of these modern, both standard and sport bikes, you know, because that bike was something else. But even then, before you even get to the CB, you know what? That was such a niche bike. You have to dial it back. The CB 350 and 400s. That is an iconic bike because it was an entry to Japan bikes, really made an impact in the American motorcycle culture. But then that also goes around. You point to the second one I would say would be your typical Harley Sportster throughout the generations.
Yes.
That was the bike that had, you know, the 883s, the early Harleys. That was the bike that was everybody had, you know? So it's like somebody like, oh, I want a cruiser to start off. I want a big boy Harley. Now go get a Sportster. Doesn't matter the year. Go get you an earlier Sportster. Learn on that. And then, of course, you have your Ninja. Regardless of what it is, you have your Ninja 250 for your beginners, your 500s, your 600s. Like, everybody and their mother remembers, like, the Ninja, you know? And then going on with that, the sport bike side, the Hayabusa. You heard me before. You always hear me talk about the Hayabusa, but the thing is, it's like that was the bike that really started this horsepower war we looking in now. You know,
actually ended it, in my opinion. Once they came out with that, it was like, bro, like,
I mean,
was like, we making bikes too powerful.
You making a bike that can do 190 miles per hour.
After that, you still had the ZX14, the H2, there's all these crazier bikes, but the bikes that really got it going, in my opinion, was the Hayabusa. So continue on. I know you got one more. And then the last one is difficult because it's like, then you got your typical cafe racer style. Everybody converts your CB350 400. So that makes you think about Triumphs, you know?
Yeah.
It's such an oddball for me to say as like your number 5, but that's a bike that definitely gets overlooked. Like Triumph now even has a Scrambler 400, which I say if you don't know what bike you really want, go look at that.
They sound great too.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like Triumph as a brand has always been kind of like this quirky out there, but it definitely hits the mark across so many.
They do have a newer bike out there.
Yeah, the Scrambler 400, but at the same time, Triumph is, like I said, is wild because they have great bikes, great daily bikes, great everyday bikes. And then they have the Rocket 3, which is more displacement than the Honda Civic.
Wow. So with that being
European,
first off,
shout
out to my guy Kev for actually having.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
He was ready for it. He was ready for that question. So with that being said, Kev, you know how we do, man. Shout out where you work at. Let them know where you are, where they can find you, the company, because you talked about it earlier, but shout them all the way out.
Honestly, on the road again, motorcycle school. That's where I work. I'm there every weekend. Like I was saying earlier, I work my regular job Monday to Friday, and then I'll put in a 6-7 day weeks, do like, a month straight, just both jobs, but working on the road again, teaching people how to ride motorcycles, being there, being kind of like this resource for people who really want to get into motorcycling. That's something else. Like that to me, it's rewarding in a way that nothing else is, because it's young kids where you kind of can help steer them in the right direction. It's older guys who are finally fulfilling a life of dream,
Yeah.
Like I mean, not to clown, but like amount of guys like, yeah, I just got divorced. I'm getting.
That's crazy.
I just got divorced. I'm going to get my bike. I need to learn how to ride.
Yo, shout out to my guy Anthony Green. He said, "What about Ducati?" He said, "Where would you place it?"
So the problem with Ducati, and I hate to lead like that, Ducati, great bikes, very niche. But the problem with Ducati is the maintenance.
Yes,
you know, and it's like we talk about, you know, that typical clack 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 sound that a Ducati makes with that clutch.
Yeah,
that's a dry clutch. One thing when it comes to low speed maneuvers on motorcycles is being able to feather that clutch, to slip that clutch, ride the friction zone. We say, you know, we go to the friction zone, not through it. We never let that clutch all the way out. Mm-hmm. The thing is, a Ducati doesn't really lend itself well to that. You know, it's a dry clutch. You can't slip it as much. So it takes a certain level of finesse. I have nothing but respect for Ducati. The Diavolo has been definitely one of my, if I had $1 million, I'd have 50 bikes, you know, sort of garage queen.
I want one of those too, by the way.
The great bikes, but that dry clutch to me just doesn't lend itself well, especially when you're learning how to ride. And also maintenance. A lot of guys, and kind of going to go off here, get into motorcycles thinking they're going to save money.
Yes.
They think, like you heard me say, I spent $2,400 on my first bike, $2,500, and $1,500 on gear. Uh-huh. A lot of guys don't realize gear's expensive. Dressing for the weather is expensive. Maintenance. My Suzuki, I've been putting it off, and I've been going back and forth if I'm going to do it, if I'm not going to. You got to do a valve clearance check every 15,000 miles. Mm-hmm. You're looking at, if you drop it to a dealership, $500 every 15,000 miles. A typical Honda Civic, Honda Fit, whatever, needs a valve clearance check at 100,000 miles. You know, like
barely that.
Yeah, and you can ignore it, and the car will keep going because it's a Civic.
It just makes noise,
right? Whereas a bike, it's running high revs, lower displacement. You're really pushing it. You don't stay on top of that maintenance. It's going to remind you. That's why everybody thinks, "Oh, my bike got 40,000 miles. It's clap." No, it's clap because you didn't do the maintenance.
Well, maintenance is what keeps a lot. And, you know, I'm realizing even in
proper
this with
oil, all type of stuff.
Yeah, you got to like them dealer intervals are very important. I'll be like, yo, you know what? Let me do that with, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to SP to Dawn. He tuned in. He said Ducati maintenance. Your typical Volkswagen.
Because Volkswagen knows Ducati. And then Wally, of course. I know you just got that new 2025 Z6R. That's why you were asking.
That's what Sean got.
Yo, my problem is, right, everybody thinks they need a 600cc. I think the CX6R, the 600cc class is very competitive, great bikes. But everybody, you know, Wally, not trying to clown on you because I know you're an older dude, but I think you have the responsibility to handle that. A lot of these younger guys, they can finance, a $9,000 bike at 20% APR. Right. Younger guys without the credit history, they'll get that bike finance, and they're thinking, oh, you know, this bike only costs me $200 a month, and I get to enjoy it, I get to love it, I get to push it. And it's like, yo, it's dangerous because those bikes have the barrier to entry. It's like, it's so easy to get to, you know. It's like being able to skydive without any training.
It's getting overconfident with a bike with low horsepower.
Those bikes fly, man. Those 600s.
I'm not skydiving without no training. I'm sorry.
It's more.
I'll be like, this plane works perfectly fine. Why are we jumping out of it?
Why am I jumping out of a perfectly good plane?
It's the same thing with cars, right? Like with this whole thing about, well, I must have a like how you say in a bike, well, I must have 1,000cc. Oh, 600. What's that? Like, I'm like thinking about it. I'm like, yo, bro, the bike can go up to like 165 miles per hour. Like,
but you know what it is? I'll tell you this, from me being in the community for all those years, it's a brag thing.
Yeah.
We keep it a buck with you. When I had my 750, I would still have my 750 if they didn't steal it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It got stolen. Right. So I said, you know what? I'm going to one up. I said, I'm going to go up another level. And I did. And you know what? I found something in that motorcycle that it just let me. To me, motorcycles are like horses, or like, you know, like you do the wrong thing, it's gonna let you know. It's like you off.
I mean, I'm not lying. The bike I want is a Hayabusa. I mean, for me, even I always joke like, screw it, I'm gonna get a turbo. Like I told my girl, like, yo, we break up, I'm getting a turbo Hayabusa. Like,
yo, wifey is out here like, I gotta go for you to do that. What you doing?
No, because the thing is, there is that cost to it. But the thing is, I want a turbo booster or just a straight up a Hayabusa, just to have it, just to say my bike could do it. But it doesn't.
Could we give Kev another round of applause.
Yeah, word,
But
facts.
I just said that.
Yeah, but it's like, but at the same time, it's like it doesn't mean I'm going to get on it and do 200 miles an hour.
No.
Like let's look at a typical McLaren driver or buyer or a Lamborghini or Ferrari. It's a flex. It's not. Excuse me. It's not meant to be like, yo, I'm a get on. If you're in Cali, PCH and hit the apex of every turn and fly through. Like, it's not about that. But it's really easy with these modern cars, modern bikes to think, yo, I got the power. Let me send it.
But most people, you know, like the car and the bike community, right? And you're right about flex. Like, I said, used to be in the Toyota community. That's a big flex. Let me get a big turbo. Let me get HS52.
Well,
Let me get that. Like, but me, I'm probably one of the few people that had a Cresta that drove it hard. Like, they were like, I'm like, bro, this car's from 1992. Y'all want to polish it up and do burnouts at car meets, and that's it. I said, man, I want to get on. I want to go to. I want to go to Mexico. I made that. I mean, well, statute limitations. I made that speedo. Maybe it's 165 with the 1J. I don't know. I don't know where it ends at R154. I don't know what top of fifth gear is. But yo, I put LSD. Call it like crap. I had no back seat, and it's about fun, right? But just back to the 600cc bike. Most riders are never going to top out that bike.
And most riders shouldn't top out that bike.
Yo,
I'm sorry to say it like that, but they shouldn't.
They shouldn't.
No.
I will say this with my GSXR 1000. Yeah, that is so much. And this is what I'm saying. Like, to go from a 750, and I didn't want to go with the 600 because of the price.
Yeah.
Right.
I was like, yo, they wanted, I think for that, at that time, it was $8,000, $9,000. And then for the 750, I think it was like another $1,000 or something. It wasn't too much. And I said, nah, I'm gonna get that. Right. I said, it's still somewhat I can learn on it, but I'm not gonna OD on it. When I got that 1,000, I was like, yo, you could never get to the bottom of this bike in the city. Never. No. It could only be when I was in Atlanta, because I was like, yo, this bike is powerful. I'm riding across the 59th Street Bridge. I go all the way into the RPM. I'm like, I'm with my people. Let's go. Take off in first gear. I take it all the way to, like, I think the red line now on that bike is 13, 12, 5.
You're at 90 miles per hour.
101 miles an hour.
Yeah. Yep.
And
first gear.
Yeah.
Now you out of the power band now. You know what I mean? So when you come back down.
Yep.
But when I shifted, the bike picked up.
Yeah.
Right back down. I said, you would never. And that's the thing. It's like when somebody pulls up, if I'm on my bike and somebody pull up with a 600, they like, oh, they look, unless they can really ride. They can really ride. They're not even intimidated. They like, whatever.
If they can handle better than you, they'll take you to turn.
Exactly. A 600, they'll turn around. There's this YouTuber, Moto Jitsu, I believe it is. And this dude, he talks about how you got to ride a 600 versus how you got to ride 1,000. A strength of 1,000, you pretty much carry as much speed as you can into the turn, slow down, get that bike turn facing the right way as quick as you can, and send it, because that is the power of the bike. Whereas a 600, because it doesn't have that straight power, you got to hold more momentum.
Yeah.
And then that even goes all the way too, but that's why they say start off with a smaller bike, because the thing is, you got to learn how to accelerate, how to brake, how to hold that speed, how to haul it down.
Let me ask you a question. I'm sorry.
Sure,
I know you educate people and license people on bikes, right?
Not on that stuff, but go on.
no, not spirited driving, but what it's the same thing with ATVs. I always wanted an ATV. Like, I always wanted an ATV with a little bit of power and a little bit of that. Now, is there a legal way to getting an ATV with plates, or is that completely banned in New York State?
So even if you could theoretically get plates and everything on an ATV, because there is a guy in South Carolina who does it.
Okay.
I've seen him online. I've seen him posting. But even if you can, right? Like, you can have legit plates, lights, the whole nine. You think them boys ain't gonna pull you over and still give you a hard time? They're gonna see that ATV and they're gonna call cap. Like, no way is that legit. We're pulling you over, running your stuff, we're giving you a hard time.
So ATVs are illegal.
Correct.
I mean, and the thing is, I've known it, but you see them on the street like they're legitimate.
I mean, same thing, like guys rocking dirt bikes, popping wheelies and stuff. You see them doing it everywhere. It doesn't mean it's right.
With fake plates on them.
Right. Or no plates. They don't care.
So because I was like, man, I want an ATV, and it's what's this other thing I drove before it's called? It's called a it's high off the ground. It's got 4 wheels. It's a
Can-Am, like
the side by sides.
Buggy.
Yeah, it's a buggy, but he had plates on it.
So there's no legal way in the state of New York to drive a 4-wheeled, ATV
All-terrain
side by
vehicle.
side, right? All terrain. Now there is a dude in Jersey. Now we're kind of saying, he literally took a Volkswagen Bug, like my Gia we were talking about, a Volkswagen Bug body, and slapped it on top of a Polaris side by side. And it's the funniest thing because it's a side by side, but because he has that Volkswagen body that's pre-emissions, pre-whatever, and he got a VIN plate and everything like that,
safety.
It's registered as a Volkswagen Bug. It is the funniest thing seeing him just rip that thing.
Yeah, you got a VIN
so
number.
we can't. So basically, the only closest thing, because the thing I rode it had 4 wheels, and I took it. And I was going down was like curbs, everything, and I'm like,
nothing like that in New York's legit.
So a slingshot is probably the only closest thing I get to something that's
right, or the 3-wheelers, the Rikers. You know about those?
Yeah.
I mean,
I know,
dude. No. They are not the move. I'm sorry to say this.
It's low to the ground. I don't know.
I don't like them. Shout out to my guy Anthony Green. He said most very high in sports are for beauty and not for the speed experience. In other words, most high-end sports cars, he said, like the Lamborghini, are bought because of the beauty and not for the power of the engine.
Right. It's the flex.
He's right.
Yeah.
I feel like that is definitely key. I will say this though. I'm not a fan of it. Now we get back to the
3-wheeler, the worst.
I feel like they
T-Rex back in the day.
They have none of the great parts of a motorcycle and none of the great parts of a car. Like it's
or the handling either.
Yeah.
So the T-Rex, I'll actually that's a hill I would actually. That's funny enough. Something that once again, $1 million garage, it would be in there. Because it still has a steering wheel. It doesn't pretend to be a motorcycle.
Right.
It has a bike powertrain. It's single, it's, what is it, a GSXR 1000?
I think it's some of them are ZX14s and some are Hayabusa.
Yeah. So they, don't get me wrong. They're cool, but they don't try to be a bike. In my opinion,
I would get a T-Rex though, by the way. Let me correct everything.
I'll take a slingshot. But the slingshot got corny very quick because all the old heads bought them.
Yeah, and all the old heads, the big speaker system. I seen one dude pulled up, had windshield, doors, the whole. I'm like, bro, just get a car.
The roof.
Just get a car. Like,
so they do make a kit for the T-Rex, a Cabinera.
Yeah,
it's called Cabinera, where they give it the Enzo look with the.
Yeah,
I would have that. I would have that.
I've seen that, but at the same time, it's like the Can-Am, them 3-wheelers. So on the road again, Otra, we did have a 3-wheeler class, and there was so little take on them. Like so few people wanted to take that class instead of just getting a 2-wheel license.
Right.
We ended up just returning the 3-wheelers back to the manufacturer.
Shout to Mr. 2J Castings. He said, "Give me the KTM." Yeah, I love it. Like,
but even then, that's a big go-kart. That's not like pretending to be a motorcycle like the 3-wheelers.
A Polaris feels, and my boy was one of the first ones to have it in New York. He put his logo on the front of it. It was a cool thing back then. I can't explain what it feels like. It feels like a car, but then it doesn't feel like a car. Like they could be fun, but it's also the weight.
Nah, I think that what turned me off from it is that it does have a car engine.
Right.
4-cylinder, yeah.
I'm through with it, right?
Because people swap them though.
And when I look at it, I don't see performance. It looks a little wobbly.
Yeah.
And I will say that when I did actually sit in one, I wasn't impressed. I feel like I'm just more of a victim. Like somebody crashed into this thing. We all sit neat though.
Yeah.
Where T-Rex, it's more together. It's more like
it's more caged in.
Power. You put the hella lights at the top because it sits below.
Remember, you're on the ground.
Right. Yeah. So that's why you put the hella lights up so people could see you in their mirrors and they driver's side mirrors, and they're ridiculously fast.
Man, they ain't seeing you when they're looking at their phone driving down the 495.
Yeah, you'll get clipped. Like, and also too, like in New York, you got potholes and you better off just on a bike because you could go around it.
Shout out to Draco. He said they still want $15K for the Campagna, the 3S Campagna.
I'm surprised.
They want more than that.
I was going to say
30,
40.
And they're still and they're older.
No, but even going back though, the Riker, it sits like a motorcycle, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you ride in that thing, and then when you throw them into a turn, like we were really, it's like it gives you the sensation of being on a jet ski. And that's not a comforting thing when you're on asphalt.
I know exactly what a jet ski feel like because I was in Mexico wilding.
Right. So it's like you turn it, but a jet ski at least will like dive down in.
Yes.
Whereas that you're just kind of like holding on, and the steering on the ones we rode were so heavy. And I'm like, yo, how's an old head who's like, yo, I'm not gonna ride a motorcycle because my back, my age, whatever, but I'm gonna get that. How?
What about like Can-Am Sports? Is that what you're talking about? Like with the 2 front wheels?
And the one, and you sit on top of
it.
That's
never.
what I'm saying. The Riker, like I said, we had them. We did the 3-wheel licensing class, and nobody signed up. We ended up just getting rid of them because the thing is, it's not really like if I want that sensation, I'm getting a slingshot. If I want a real 2-wheel, I'm getting a bike. My opinion on those. They're great if I'm going to South Carolina or somewhere like that. Yes. You know, my girl wants to come with.
Open road.
Not even just bar crawling.
I went to rent one of them Polaris. What's the name for? I was in Vegas.
Right.
And I wanted to take the run out to the canyon. And I was going to use that. Me and my wife, we was about to, but they fronted on me because I was like, yo, because I was taking that thing. I said, I'm going with this thing and we're going to go out there and have fun. With that being said, Kev, we have reached to a different segment here at Rally Radio and just want to get you prepared. So get your thinking cap on because this is going to be fun. Here we go.
Shifting gears. We ask, you answer. The faster, the better. Gear up, only on Rally Radio.
All right, y'all, here we go. We're going to hit Kev with these 5 questions. I mean, you got to answer them quick. The faster you answer, the better. You already heard what he said. So with that being said, first question, Ferrari, Lamborghini?
Lamborghini.
K20, SR20?
K20.
Porsche, Toyota?
Porsche. Don't even got to hesitate.
Kawasaki, Honda?
Honda.
Ducati or Suzuki?
I'm going to go Suzuki.
Ooh!
Shifting gears. We ask, you answer. The faster, the better. Gear up, only on Rally Radio.
I was hoping he chose Suzuki. I was like this.
No, and I literally hesitated because, like, don't get me wrong, Ducati got a lot more performance potential, but I'm not getting that limit.
I hear you. And you know what? Me personally, I have a couple motorcycles that I want to own. And obviously the Hayabusa is one of them.
Yeah.
It's one of them. My next bike, and yeah, I'm putting it out there. My next bike is going to be Hayabusa. I'm a Suzuki guy.
Yep.
M109.
Yep.
And there's only one other bike I really want, and that's that Ducati.
The Diablo.
Oh
yeah.
I saw a Hayabusa engine in a smart car. It was crazy.
That was dope.
What do y'all think? What do y'all guys think about people putting bike engines in cars? I was thinking, yo, a Suzuki Swift with a bike engine in it is crazy. Like,
so I'll tell you what. Here's what I think. One, I'm not against it at all because they rev high.
Yep.
Yeah.
And because they rev so high, that has to be great. And some of them are look at the displacement on a lot of them, like 1,300 cc's.
Yeah, like
1,000 cc. That's enough to move a small car. You feel what I'm saying?
It's like a 1.3 liter. So.
No, and that's the thing. Like it's high strung, it's high revving. It's cool to see, like I said, when guys do all this crazy work.
Yeah.
But then it doesn't necessarily have to be a car. Like, have you ever seen people do go-kart swaps with the 600s?
Yeah, that's insane.
Golf carts, things like that.
I've seen one before.
It's dangerous.
Small car was ridiculous.
There was a guy, his name was Jixer Kart. GIXXER kart from Europe.
Yep.
He took a 95 1100 cc GSXR 1100 motor and put it on the back of a go-kart, and oh my God,
moved.
Yo, I was like so impressive. When I was in my bike club, I wanted to do one. I was like, yo, they said, what could we do, to make us stand? I said, yo, let's build a Jixer kart. They was like, yo. So we went on YouTube to look at it. And they was like, nah, so somebody could die messing around.
Now with transmission, like how did this even, because I'm confused about it, right? When I saw it in the small car, I'm like, well, how did they even get it to mount to a transmission?
Well, they don't mount. Nah, they keep probably the same thing. They just run a long shifter.
So the transmission
is longer that you could reach.
Right. So it's still the bike trans.
Right.
But then they have to figure out how they're going to link that to the rear end.
Right.
When you're talking the go-karts and stuff, they chain drive. When you're talking, when you're talking like these
ATV or something, they drop the boat. Yeah.
Yeah. But then when you're talking about these cars with their actual rear ends, either they change the type of rear axle. This part I'm kind of foggy about. Either they change the type of rear axle
or drive shaft,
or they have some sort of converter to go to a drive shaft. There's this one guy, literally took the output from the motorcycle and he welded that to the transmission. I think it was a Fiesta. And it was a GSXR 1000 motor, I think it was.
Yeah.
and he had it mounted into a Ford Fiesta.
Yo.
So it was still front wheel drive. It was still everything like that. And it was like, it was funny. He still had the motorcycle shifter and he had the car shifter because, you know, he had it linked to the stock trans.
Yo,
so it was a 5-speed plus a 6-speed. So you had a 30. He could pick whatever gear he wanted, like a big rig.
Yo.
Oh, that is wild. Like a dual shift. Like
yeah, it had both shifters.
That's
still.
crazy.
Some people have all the fun. Some people have all the
I'm not gonna lie, them Miata dudes should start thinking about putting booster motors in those Miatas. I think it would work.
I mean, the problem is you start getting up in weight. Because remember, it's a bike. They don't have torque.
It can't push the car.
Correct.
Right. Shout to Mr. 2J Cass. He said that dude in blue did a GSXR swap.
I did not know that.
Nah, me neither. And I think the that's actually interesting. I don't know if that would make it any because it's light. I'm gonna check that video out. Shout to Mr. 2J Cass for putting this on.
No, like legit, I would like it makes sense. But like, there's a reason why people put engines with a little more torque in them. You want to feel that oomph, you know.
Right.
You know, horsepower numbers is one thing. Torque is what really makes you enjoy it.
It moves you, yeah.
There you go. With that being said, we're going to step right into because Kevin's going to sit in for the show for a little minute.
Yeah, of course.
We still got a little bit of time left. We got some things we want to talk about. You already know what it is, man. We are here with our weekly specs. Very interesting. We got some news things we're going to talk about here, and I want you to tell us what you think about it. You know what I mean? So let's get to it.
Weekly specs. Auto news for all the listeners, only on Rally Radio.
All right, you already know how we get down, man. It's the beard and one in the building. Shout to everybody who's tuned in, paying attention. Don't forget, drop a like, drop a comment so we can shout you out. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. We got the nose hunter in the building over here.
Crikey, Mr. Two-Piece.
And we got my man Kev.
What's going on?
In the building. You already know what it is. With that being said, I got something for y'all. Looks like we got a couple of things going on here with this Honda-Nissan merger that has been going on. God. It looks like the Nissan CEO has gotten the boot.
Oh.
Now, for those that don't know, the reason the Honda-Nissan merger fell through is because Honda said that CEO of Nissan pretty much has to go, or else we can't do it. So it collapsed. Now that CEO is gone. Do you think that it's going to happen?
I don't know, because the thing is, did they cut ties with it? I think it was Renault, the French company, had ownership in it.
Of Nissan as well, right?
Correct.
And Nissan and Honda didn't want to take that on.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I mean, I think it was really he said out his own mouth. If this CEO is gone, we could do it. And he's gone. I was shocked at, but then again, he drove Nissan. And let me not blame him because.
No, blame him 100%.
Blame him. That's it. Blame him.
I mean, Nissan should have been able to do more. Think of all the Nissan Altima's finance. Nissan should have been able to pull it. But for some reason,
yeah. 2025 Altima still for sale.
All the baby mamas out there that got the Nissan.
But you know what's so funny about the Altima, right? See, Nissan, I would, to me, Honda and Nissan have nothing in common, right? Honda's more conservative to me. The reason why I say this, I was talking to Phil, and we were talking about the J series from out the TLX and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Compared to what, let's say, Infinity, right? You still barely had 300 horsepower in those. Like, Honda's too conservative. They still not going to give you a rear-wheel drive sedan. You know, Nissan needs to be with Toyota. Maybe Toyota can step in and be like, yo, you know what? I'll buy you.
Toyota's daddy over there, man. They holding it there.
Toyota's like, we don't need you, Nissan. Toyota's like, we don't need that headache. We gotta bring our method over to them. No, thank you.
They could bring Mitsubishi back too with that merger. The reason why I'm saying the president of Nissan, because you know they acquired Mitsubishi.
Yes.
All the faulty stuff from Nissan CVT, everything went to Mitsubishi, right? Mitsubishi could have a return if they just make one sedan. If they made one sedan that sold with some things from Nissan.
But the problem is that Mitsubishi don't just make their money on cars.
Air conditionings, I get it.
They everywhere. Listen, so it's the same thing with a lot of these other car companies, like not car companies, just tech companies, Tesla.
But remember, I'm a Volvo guy. They still deal with 18-wheelers and airplanes, but guess what? They still make cars, right?
It's true.
I think Nissan got too stubborn, right? I went to the car show 3 years ago, and I said, you know, this Maxima is not going to last, right? The CVT. Oh, the CVT got better. He was defiant, the representative, and I said, okay, let me ask you something. Which is going to last longer? Which is better, a transmission or that? Why is everybody on a higher level going with dual clutch or a faster shifting automatic? I said, if you gave the Maxima a faster shifting automatic, keep the VQ37 and put it in there. You guys make good motors like Renault. I'm not going to discount Renault because Renault, we wouldn't have some of these VQ motors from Renault. Renault had great V6s.
Right. And not only that, I believe Renault builds a lot of motors from F1.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they really the engine builder.
We wouldn't have a VR or VQ without Renault.
I will shout to Mr. 2J Cats. He says, side note, they just confirmed that the Audi R8 is coming back as the twin of the Lamborghini Temerario.
Wow,
that's smart.
Yeah, they got. I mean, because at the end of the day, the world is changing. Everybody was with it at first, and then Cobra Commander changed sides. Now everybody like this.
Electric car things or this whole electric wave is in the water right now.
But going back to the Nissan Honda thing, like let's be real, right? Honda's already rebadging across Honda and Acura.
Yes.
Yeah. Could you imagine? And Dodge used to do it with Mitsubishi and Dodge, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So now could you imagine if your Civic Type R, your Integra Type S, and an Infinity whatever, and a Sentra all had the same power plant, same front wheel drive, same everything? I don't know. I don't think it works.
I don't think it works because Nissan's price points are lower than Honda, right? Like, so let's say with Type R, right? What car does Nissan, think about it. For the price of the Type R, maybe about 10,000 more, I can have a Q60.
See, but here's my thing. I don't think they was thinking along those lines. I don't think they were thinking about mixing brands. I think they was more or less going to use them. I think Honda was going to use each other's technology here and there, especially when it comes to the electric vehicle market. I think that's where they was going with it. I think ultimately though, I believe that it's like Nissan and Honda and another thing, they're trying to keep it like they're trying to be their own conglomerate in Japan. Because they feel like they got to team up against China. Because China right now with the electric vehicles and how they're working together, they're outlawed in the United States. But if they ever make it over here, it's over. You feel what I'm saying? I mean, I believe a lot of people are going to buy them just because they super cheap. I mean, remember, price point is everything.
Yeah, they last 3 years. So.
Right. They don't listen. Look at Daewoo. Remember Daewoo? And y'all remember Daewoo as a car company. Y'all remember that?
99 to 2001.
I mean, you can't clown Chinese cars for lasting 3 years when the Wrangler don't last 3 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
No, but even with the cross, but even with the cross brand, you got Toyota, the Mazda hybrid, the CX-50 or the 70. Yeah, that's a 50. It's the Toyota drivetrain. The RAV4 Prime drivetrain is in that Mazda. All these manufacturers, they're at the point where they're part share and they're just trying to survive.
It's right because ultimately this electric vehicle thing turned the automotive world on its back, and a lot of them, they were so into what they was doing they couldn't even pivot and get it done. And I understand, because don't get me wrong, it's going to be a long time. I believe not a long time. I believe that it's a lot more that needs to be done. You and I both know that. Everybody who listen to Rally Radio know how I feel about the electric vehicles. But can car companies do it, still maintain employees? Yeah. There's a lot more to it.
Yeah. And also don't forget there's the financial side of it. You know how many great companies, I mean, even look at Nissan, get caught up because of private equity, because of all this stuff. Yeah. So for them, we're talking about the car. We're focused on the cars, what cars are going to put out, what's going to be great, what's going to not. We're enthusiasts. These companies are looking at it at how much money they're going to make, how much they can save by cross-sharing, the headlight housing from your Nissan Altima and your Accord someday.
Nissan could beat on their chest. See, Toyota, what I love about Toyota, Toyota beat on their chest. Toyota, they came like a silverback. They came to the world. They said, yeah, okay, well, we're going to, we don't care. We're going to make performance vehicles, and we're still going to keep family. Think about it. Honda, the Toyota wagon still has a V6, right?
You right.
And also too, what Mitsubishi can do with Toyota, with Nissan, use what you've been having. You have a VR30 motor. if they wanted to say, yo, you know what, we're gonna produce another 3000 GT cheaper than the GTR, because the GTR we're gonna make the, you know how you got the VR30?
Yeah.
Take the VR30, make it all-wheel drive, throw it into like a new 3000 GT, use the same parts for the Q60, and give it like maybe little gearbox, and price it around 60,000. It will sell.
Shout to Mr. 2J Cassis. He said the Nissan Altima with the reliability of an Altima is devious.
Yeah.
And shout to my guy Anthony Green. He said, long live the gasoline cars. I'll be on the short list of people still owning the gas. That's a fact. But here's my thing.
Yeah.
Here's my thing, and then we're gonna step on. My thing when it comes down to Nissan and Honda and them merging, it has nothing to do with the company. It has everything to do with origin.
Yeah.
They don't want to see Nissan go with any company from Europe. They don't want to see that. They don't want to see that. And now that we even crossed that line, because I know we kind of short on time.
Mercedes and
what I really wanted to ask was, right? And we're gonna get to that in a little minute. Let's go on to the next thing real quick. So Marquez Brownlee. Do we know who that is? You know who that is?
Is it influencer?
Yeah, he's a YouTuber.
Yep.
Right? Marquis, I could be saying his name wrong. Marquis Brownlee. He did expose or a review rather on the Dodge Charger Daytona.
Oh. Oh yeah, the new electric.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's a tech guy. That's right.
And he gave it a scathing interview. He said the frat Sonic from hell or something like that. He said something crazy like that. And it's like Dodge has really got to pay this attention.
A vacuum cleaner with a speaker.
I'm gonna tell you.
Yeah. It's like,
I'm gonna tell you,
man.
And then you got guys like you got guys now trying to like tell people that these cars are good. Like, and it's like, that just goes to show the power of YouTube and being an influencer and not being true to yourself and true to the people that follow you. And now I don't like that. People follow you for a reason. Whatever that is, but they believe in your opinion, or they really take your opinion as word. And you're sitting there like, if I get a couple dollars, I'm gonna show you why this car is good. It's not.
Right.
Let's be honest here. And this guy, Marquis, I give it to him. He really went in.
He digged into
on this car, and I gotta say, I was more than impressed. Shout to him, but that was definitely crazy. What's going on? That's my guy Parker right there.
I was gonna say, I don't know if I have faith in an electric charger, because how are you gonna have a takeover at the car chargers? It don't work.
Yo.
yeah, exactly. Like you can't. You're gonna see you have a bunch of dead batteries in the middle, and tow trucks.
Yo, or the cops show up and just press the remote and shut them all off.
But
everybody,
you know what's so funny about Dodge, right? I drove the new Jeep Cherokee with the Hurricane 6.
Okay.
Ooh, yep.
It's not a bad engine.
Okay.
Only thing I feel with it is that maybe not the best on top end. I mean, it's an SUV, so I can't compare it to a car. Right. And they're gonna probably give it, like, say the Charger, they're gonna give it a different intake manifold, different cams, different stuff like that. I think it's a good start for Dodge. Remember, we went in the early 2000s of almost eliminating most of all inline six. They're making a return.
Yes.
If they give that car a manual option, it will sell. Now, is Dodge beating around the bush or bringing back the V8? Yes, but not this generation. So
we gonna talk about that too.
Put a manual transmission in there. Are there people that are going to manual swap that Charger? Yep, they're going to manual swap it. They're going to do adapter plates and make custom stuff. Yeah, it's a good motor.
A lot of people don't remember that when Tim Kuniskis was going out, his big thing was that we left the mounts for V8. He said it.
Yeah. Yep.
We left the spots for a V8 to be put in this car, which is crazy. Shout to GTM. He said, my boy Kev. Shout to GTM.
What's going on,
for tuning into the show. Don't forget, drop a like, drop a comment so we can shout you out. Subscribe, please, to some of this content. Shout to my guy Parker. He said, I missed the whole show. Don't worry about it. And Parker's a rider.
Yep. Parker's
outside. Sean Parker, he's all over.
It got good low end though. It got a good torque.
Yeah,
it's got good torque. Yeah, and that turbo spools. I was out in that, and it's high. Remember, the one I drove was hybrid, so it was heavier. I turned that hybrid system off, the battery, and I got on it just full engine. It. I'm not saying, like, to people who want to compare it to a Jay-Z, we got to get out that mindset, because we got two great inline sixes. We got the one from Mazda. I want to see someone tweak with that Mazda CX-90 inline six. It come with 330 horsepower. I want that truck.
Right. That is actually and that's one of their most high-selling cars.
Yeah.
It is too. Shout out to my guy Seneca. He tuned in. You already know what it is. We appreciate you early. So now, glad that you brought that up. V8 powered TRX may be making a comeback. Now we already know Tim Kuniskis has made his way back. The godfather of the Hellcat is now back into the flock, right?
You thought you could get rid of me?
Nah. They needed his help. Tavares ran it into the dirt. Yep. Carlos Tavares, they said he was the single-handedly behind Dodge getting rid of the V8, and we pointed it out here at Rally Radio. We said, listen, if they get rid of the V8, that's their high-selling cars.
Right.
What else do you have? And he figured that he knew the market.
I got some Dodge Hornet stories.
Yo,
too.
oh my God.
Just gave me chills, man. We ain't talking about that.
You say Dodge Hornet, and I just got sick.
Bump the steering wheel and all electronics show off. That was like one of my co-workers I'm in school car with. He said he got a Hornet. He bumped the steering wheel, and all the screen, everything went out. He had to take it to the dealer.
Just from bumping.
And they're building electric cars now. I'm good. I'm good. No, thank you.
So now with the TRX, right the TRX, they supposedly bringing the V8 back. For what I'm understanding, they saying that, you know what, it's one of those things we may be able to do it by 2026. What's your thoughts on it coming back in a pickup and an SUV, but yet they haven't talked about bringing it back in the car? What's your thoughts on that, gentlemen?
You know, I think it makes sense, unfortunately, because of the economic climate, because of the EPA side, rather.
Yes.
Because trucks are held to a different standard than cars. So trucks, you can get away with more emissions, whatever, the carbon tax, whatever, just from the weight.
Yes.
You know, Toyota tried, like my dad had a brand new Tundra in 1 year, put 57,000 miles doing construction back and forth across Florida.
Yeah. And it's still quiet.
And it blew up.
Oh,
that the Turbo 6, it pulling that kind of weight in a truck.
Oh yeah,
loaded up.
It's working.
They don't last.
It's pumping out more emissions than a V8.
Right, and the V8 has the longevity. So, from a financial standpoint, from a warranty standpoint, it makes more sense to just pay the taxes for that V8 than to turn around and try to push a Turbo 6 for emissions.
The consumer will pay it.
So what's crazy is was that part of the recall?
His truck was part of the recall, but he didn't make it to the recall. Pretty much, he blew up, and then the recall happened.
That's hilarious because they was recalling 100,000 engines out of the Tundra, out of the Lexus truck.
Yep.
You know what I'm talking about.
3.4 liter twin turbo, yeah.
And we've been Toyota people, man. We have a Tundra, my dad's other work truck, his first Toyota work truck. 320,000 miles. You know, he didn't service the trans. He didn't do anything.
Got sludge on that transmission.
And it just keeps him moving.
I hear you.
And he got the new Tundra, motor rebuilt at 58, that 57. Then it started having issues again at 90. But you know how much diehard Toyota fans we are? Yeah. My dad said, I'm getting the Tundra hybrid. He just upgraded.
Like that's it.
He was like, all right, screw it. Gonna get the hybrid.
I think Queens is a Toyota borough, man. Like you go to different Springs, like it's a Toyota borough, man.
Well, they do call the Camry and the Lexus the Guyanese Mercedes, so you know.
Okay, Let me tell you something. If you went down south and bought that, you know that V6 Camry coupe from like 93, 92. If you came to New York and sold that, $8,000, clean body. Interior,
you getting it?
Yeah, I'm getting $8,000.
Yo, I'm not to get off on a tangent. I took one of those. It was shout out to I don't think he's watching, but back from the RPM days, Mark. He had I helped him get a '94 Camry. He had me take it down a drag strip in PA for him. '94 V6 Camry. That car is jokes, carbon fiber wrap, the whole nine.
Yo,
we pulled up in Glen Cove. And people was like, what are you guys on? People were getting mad because he parked it next to a McLaren with the exposed carbon. We was cracking up.
People turbocharge those.
Man. They move.
It's a good car. I don't weigh anything.
And it's a Toyota. Back then, we got the car home, and he was just like, it's too quiet. 20 minutes after he just bought the car, got it home, saws all the exhaust off. Just jokes. And it sounded great. And it sounded amazing.
You know what I'm gonna say about the V8 thing coming back? Toyota's gonna follow suit. They never got rid of their V8. Yep. That's one thing. Now when the new TRX. See, the thing about it, right? Ford and GM is putting belts to asses when it comes to V8. Ford said when they came with those EV 2026, 2030, everything will be Ford said over my dead body.
That's a fact. Ford said, listen, V8 until they tell us we can't make it no more. Shout to Clarence Alexander for tuning in. You already know what it is. Crispy 211. He said my Camry got a young 245,000 miles on it.
My mother has I bought one for my mother, 02 with the 4-cylinder. I bought it like 120. It's got about 170,000 miles. It won't die. Remember, she had the VVTi one with the, the 2 point, I think it was like 2.4 or something like that. Yeah. Let me tell you something. Those motors be breaking head bolts and still run. We're going with half the head bolts and will still run.
Yo, listen, we've all seen them. Yep. We've all seen those engines that you could drag out, shoot, and nothing's gonna happen to it. I mean, you can put it right back and it started to go. I remember I watched a video of somebody trying to blow up a D series and they poured dirt in it,
yep.
and it just ran. I was like, this is crazy.
Dude's like, I think there's too much oil, and it drills the oil pan, and car still keeps running.
It kept running. So with that being said, I'm glad you brought up the V8s. You know why? Because this next thing that I had came across was very interesting. I wanted to get y'all take on it too. This is what I love about this show. I like to do stuff like this. I like to get people's takes on it. So more people bought the Lexus V8s more than they bought Toyota's sports cars that came out, or cars for that matter. That came out recently. Shout to Car Buzz. What's your thoughts on that? Now, my thing is, shout to every Toyota guy out here first. Let's be honest, because I know they out here and they know they watching, right? A lot of Toyota guys feel like when they made the Supra, right? Oh, you know what? They could have used a lot of different, they had so many different bodies to choose from, but they went with BMW. And now it's coming out that not only did Toyota work with BMW, they like redid the B58.
Yeah, that's why it's reliable.
That's why it's reliable. So now that you hear that people are buying them V8s, can Toyota miss at this point? Like, I mean, like, are they like, I mean, they shooting, they remind me of the guy from the Olympics that said he was sitting on the couch and he woke up, he got a bronze medal in target practice. You know what I'm saying? So what's your thoughts on that? Do you believe that the Lexus V8, and we don't know how long they're gonna make that neither, because I think they just got rid of at least, I think the RC, the
RC 500.
Yeah, I think they just got rid of that. Or it's the last one or whatever. What's your thoughts on that? The Lexus V8. What's your thought?
Lexus V8s have always been legendary, and it goes back to the 1UZ, the 2UZ. We were just talking about the Tundra. That there's a video guy just sitting there with a cup of water or something on his intake manifold with a 3UZ swap, whatever. I think it was a 240, and that thing dead just smooth. And that goes back to Toyota's quality. A V8, just by nature of what it is very well balanced.
Yeah.
And then you turn around and put Toyota quality behind it. That's why some people are like, yo, why didn't Toyota throw one of their V8s in the Supra,
And even if they just wanted to test the theory and they made it a limited edition, they might have sold.
Oh, it would.
It's funny you say that about the Lexus V8s, though, because that was the LS400's selling point as a commercial. I don't know if y'all remember that. They put wine glasses stacked on the thing and put it on the dyno. It was like, woo! And none of them moved, none of them broke, none of them fell. That was actually very interesting. Shout to my guy Kev for that. That was actually something I remember seeing.
So the LC 500, they claim that they're going to discontinue it. Do I feel like they are? No. The reason why I say this, they might have another V in works. As we know with Lexus, what I'm saying, that might go in a new RC5. I'll still want to use one. I'll take a 2020. I don't care, because the car's so built so well. V8 and a Supra might put that class in another like a touring class, a touring car, right?
But here's the thing. Now we talking about the Lexus or Toyota, rather LCF or whatever they supposed to be coming out with. We've seen it. The GT3 car, whatever. That is probably where that V8 is going.
Yeah.
But nobody
know what I mean?
So we're turning back to the 1990s. It feels like, everything just goes back in return, right? We got so many turbo 4-cylinders. Toyota's talking about bringing back the Celica with the 4-cylinder version of
the GR motor?
Yeah, the GR motor, which I think is great. That car doesn't need a 3-cylinder. You need to make it all-wheel drive, manual transmission. It's going to probably be priced around, but like probably a little bit around the same price as a Corolla.
Yes.
And they're going to keep the V8 in a 4-cylinder. Toyota is pretty much smacking the whole car community around, because they're like, listen, Hyundai is looking at Toyota. I don't care when he says, and I own a Genesis. is making Honda step their game up with the Elantra N. The only reason why they came out with Elantra N is because of Toyota.
Well,
Toyota Korea is looking at Toyota and trying to model themselves after Lexus. They're trying to model themselves after GR. That's why Hyundai's making more performance cars.
Well, you gotta, you want to fashion yourself after the winners. However, right? I will say this though. I believe that N was built to kill the Type R. I believe when they made that car, they said, nah, because the Civic Type R is still one of the baddest front wheel drive cars out. They wanted that. I
disagree. You know the reason why I disagree? The Type R is stiff. It's a hard riding car.
Yes.
It's performance based. It's got Hyundai did what Volvo did back in 2003 when they went after into a 94, 95, and on 02, 03. They went with the T5R and they knocked on the M3's window. Hey, we got 250 horsepower too for the US M3. 260. Sometimes I think it's about 260 because they underrate the power. Then they went with my car I had, the S60R, and they knocked on the E46 when they said, okay, we're not going to be as fast as you, but just let us know we can see what we can do to y'all.
We got to call it, y'all. We normally off the air by now, but we go hard.
Let's keep it going.
It is what it is. Rally Radio, who we got in the box?
Yeah, it's your boy Big J in the building.
Shout out to my guy Jay. What's going on, Jay? What it is, man? What's popping?
What it is, gentlemen. What's called? I figured y'all talk about the Lexus V8. I figured I'd pop in real quick.
Let's go. You already knew that was the bad signal. That was the bad signal. We knew you was going to call. What's popping? What you got for us, kid? What would you rather?
Man. Oh, wait. What's the question? Because I was like reacting to my phone. What was the question of what would I rather?
So what we was asking was would you rather that they had to put a Lexus V8 in a Supra? Or do you think they did the right thing by retuning this B58?
Just keep it straight 6. You know what it is? Okay. The thing is that if you make it a V8, I mean, yeah, it's cool, but then the complaints still come in. Mm-hmm. Oh, it should have been a manual, right? And the thing is that the Lexus V8, as great as they also are very limited, and because then the notoriously known for just locking out their power through the ECUs. That's the reason why even all of our cars, kind of stay the way they are, because we can't tune our cars. Essentially, we can, but we can't.
Right.
Yeah, you got high compression. You have high compression in that motor. The ECU is limit. That's why you don't see guys really trying to turbocharge those ISF unless you have a big budget. Because now you're talking about swapping ECUs and now the car is not drivable on a daily basis because you're gonna put a mega squirt in there or something,
and then try to make it pass emissions and everything anyway.
That ain't happening. That's
where
you're losing it.
Yep. And
right. So now there's a guy out in Florida that did a mid-mount turbo on his, but he's only limited to I think less than 10 pounds of boost.
Yep, because
great.
Yep, only so much the ECU can compensate for.
And just to make 500 horsepower is not worth it.
Exactly. I think he makes about 5 or 6 on pump. Mind you, my car is about 14 years old. We just got a blower for our car finally.
Wow.
Yeah, listen, the fact that we even said the R&D in our car is great. To answer your other question, I'm sure you guys didn't hear about it, but this summer Lexus is debuting the possible LCS model.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
Yep,
that's what we're talking about. Where I think the V8s are going, V10s. I believe not V10s, excuse me, V8. I think that's where it's going. But continue on, Jay.
Well, so here's the thing. I believe it's going to be our V8s, but they finally figured out, put 2 turbos in it, basically. Whatever it is twin turboed. Don't know what type of engine it is, but it is definitely
Toyota,
twin turbo.
Toyota, like Honda, right? They've always been conservative. Just like Honda could have made a V8. They could have made a V8 pickup truck.
They have. Not a pickup truck, but they have made a V8.
No, they have a V8. Right, it's a race motor.
Yeah,
but the problem is that
Honda
doesn't want to lose a customer base that's used to pretty much the same thing for the past 40 years, right? 4-cylinder V6, that's it.
And if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right?
Facts.
Now when it comes to Honda making a V8, and just like Toyota, right? What about transmission? Now we know the Achilles heel of Honda and these companies is the transmission. Can it handle V8 torque? How long is it going to last, right? Consumer issues. Now recalls, right? How many recalls with that Toyota V8? That's why I say like the B58, you come with a tuned downpipe upgrade turbo, you can make 700 horsepower.
I mean, can't
You-
knock it.
Yeah.
You know what? It's a good. Listen, I'm not saying it's a hot take. It's
Yeah.
a good engine. It's a cheap engine, but it's a good engine.
Toyota, my thing about it, I think, see, even with BMW, they were like, man, we have the S, what was it? What's that motor? The S version of that, the S58. We have the S58.
S58. I think,
Why don't
yeah.
you? Toyota was like, why don't you use this engine? And why are you using our old interior? Toyota is so conservative. It was like, nah, we don't want that. Give me us the B58. We don't want the S58. The S58 would have probably been a great thing for pricing because you got the M2 and you got the Supra.
Mhm.
Right.
It would be competitive because it's like, okay, I don't want an M2. I like the looks of the Supra better. But now the Supra, I don't think we're going to have another generation. I don't think we have an MK7.
No, I think the next Super is going to be electric. I hate to say it.
The MK6, they confirmed the MK6 is still coming out, but it's going to be something of their own variant. So, what's it called? The MK. Well, I think you got maybe like a year or two left of the MK5.
Yeah.
The MK6 is supposed. So, allegedly, if the new inline 4 that's coming out with it does well, which more than likely it is. They are saying how that next generation Supra is supposed to come with their own version of the straight 6, which is just basically 2 more cylinders added onto what the G16 is.
I think it's
or the Corolla.
I think it's a brilliant idea. I mean, a G30. I mean, that makes the most sense, right? You got a G24, which is going to be the 4-cylinder. G30 makes sense because it's like how you just said. If it's not broke, don't fix it.
Right.
That 3-cylinders block is extremely durable. So imagine a 6-cylinder with that engine. I wouldn't mind paying $90,000 for that car because of because remember, you're going to get the technology. You're going to get a
turbo,
dual clutch. You know, you're going to get it depends on what Toyota decides.
So with that being said, Jay, because we're gonna move it quick today. Tell us, man, what's your what will it be? Will you continue if this LCF comes out? I know they haven't really named it.
Yeah,
Right.
I know it's pretty much just been a GT car, GT3 car. We've seen pictures. They not really. They said one's gonna be electric, one's gonna be gas. We heard all of these rumors.
Right.
If they put a V8 in it,
Well, allegedly it's supposed to be it's a don't know how true it is, but it's a collaboration between Mazda and Toyota because there is a Mazda version that's been out, and for what you see from a Mazda version, it's what that might be.
Oh, that's going. You know what? I don't listen. Mazda. Look. Mazda. Talk about conservative. That company is the most conservative out of Japan. Like, and I see the direction.
Got burned on that RX-7.
Now Mazda does some wild things, man. Mazda still to this day does some wild things.
They're eccentric. Like,
got burned.
They're out
the
there.
RX-7 left them burned.
Now, before even the RX-7, growing up, my grandfather had a Millennium S. If you remember those,
I remember those. That was a nice car.
But
That was a
the
nice
S,
car.
It was a supercharged 2.3 V6. Like, it was wild. And Mazda has shown time and time again that they're willing to push the envelope. Honda's conservative, Mazda's quirky, Toyota's consistent, and Nissan has Ultimas. Like that, there's it's really easy for these manufacturers to just get in their niche and just stay there.
Right.
So when, like I said, we as enthusiasts want to see more from these manufacturers, they're just looking at what makes sense. What do we do good? What's safe? What's going to make money?
You know, it's funny you speaking about the Ultima. You know, on YouTube they had the Ultima rally where they would going in circles and everybody with every type of Ultima was racing each other. People were crashing.
I love it.
It was
that sounds deadly in my opinion.
You know what's crazy? What's crazy is the fastest one I owned was the SER Ultima.
Uh-huh.
The SER was the one that Cletus was driving. Was like the lead car.
I love that SCR Ultima. I'm not going to lie. Only reason why you don't want SCR Ultima because they kept stealing the wheels off of those.
Yeah.
But that SCR was like 0 to 60 in like 5.5 seconds or something like that. It was a fast. It was dangerous.
Definitely was a fast. I ran into one in my M35.
It moved though.
Holy
That Ultima moved though. But then you had the Maxima Ultima wars that was going on the Belt Parkway.
Those are my arch enemies. Nissan Maxima.
So,
Damn it.
Loved it. Listen, those were the scat packs of our days.
I was gonna say before they was swimming in Beamers and Benzes, they was swimming in Ultimas.
Maximas and Camrys.
Maximas, Ultimas.
Oh my god.
Mom's Camry, you know.
My mom had the first 2GR FE Camry. I mean 2GR Camry, right?
Yep.
When that came out 06, man, I was going to what's Allen over there. I was smoking everybody in that Camry. LE V6. Everybody.
Yeah, we were straight clowns. Like, and that's the thing, like that's the thing. Like everybody's like, yo, Toyota needs to do a V8. Yo, Toyota's even V6. We've had 6 Siennas.
Yeah.
Like my parents like, oh, lease is up, another Sienna. And we bought over this 106 Sienna. And you was all our friends, funny enough, had Maximas, Ultimas, and they're cutting up. And there we are in the Sienna, just bringing up the rear,
washing them.
Not even washing, but just keep it up in a minivan.
We all did that. The Dodge Caravan.
Yo,
oh
wow.
Yo,
they swap them.
But you know what's funny? There's a dude on Instagram that has a supercharged Sienna, and it's just dragging Trackhawks, and it's beautiful.
It's that Toyota V6.
Remember, the Aloha Evora has that same engine inside of his car, so that's how you know that engine. They're not getting rid of that 2GR. That 2GR is going to be here for a very long time. It's gas efficient. It doesn't.
Let's go.
It's a good motor.
Yo, Jay, you know how we do. We knee deep now. We about to get up out of here in a little minute, but give a shout out, man. First off, shout to Jay for calling in, man. We appreciate you. You know what it is. Shout out to Jay for tuning in.
I just want to give a shout out to the Rally Radio fam. I just want to tell everyone, as always,
let's go.
Drive safe.
Let's go.
Just one more thing. Just I'll make it super quick. I don't know if you saw the news. Also, Cummins made a official gas powered engine.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
They just dropped it. I think today.
Yeah, I saw it.
No more coal burning.
That was actually part of our tech talk too, but we had to let it go. We had so much to carry.
So much going on.
We had so much to do, but I did see it. Now, and a lot of people are flabbergasted. Like,
no more coal burning.
No more coal.
It ain't rolling coal, but you already know those things are gonna make crazy power.
Oh yeah, you already know. Yeah, hell yeah. Pause. Look, shout out to Seneca. He said, "Pause. Knee deep is crazy."
You know what? Throw that enemy out on FRS and call it today.
Yep.
Oh no, that's wicked. That is wicked.
You know how I go. Yo, Jay, we about to get up out. We about to roll out.
Yes,
appreciate you for tuning in and calling in. We're going to get up out of here in a little minute. Shout to my guy, Jay, for tuning in.
Yeah, shout out to Jay.
All right, Jay.
Yes, sir.
Peace. Shout out to everybody who's tuned in, paying attention. We are actually in the building. Yeah, we got it. Boy, it's like 2:30.
Yo, it was a good time, man.
It was like last week.
Yo,
last week.
Sometimes when it's just flowing, it's flowing, man.
Yeah. Shout to everybody who tuned in. Shout to Kev for coming through.
Yo.
Shout to Kev for being here.
So glad I ran into you on the Southern State, man.
Oh, that's insane.
Yo, seriously, we got here because I recognized the sticker and I went to pull up. And he thought in my $500 caddy, I was trying to come up and race his Type R. Yeah, okay.
Yo, I was out. I saw it.
You know what's so funny that y'all say that? You know how I met Phil?
How?
I met Phil on a Southern State. He had the Mazda 6 back then. I had the SCR. I mean, I had the S60R. And a little bit of playing around.
Right.
And I said, yo, you know what? That Mazda is pretty impressive. He wasn't walking on me.
Right.
But I wasn't really walking on him.
Right.
And I said, yo, we pulled over there by Springfield High School. I said, yo, what you got in? Yo, I'm like, he was like, I think maybe a few modifications. I was bone stock. I just got the car. And that's how I met. I met a few people. I met Lincoln, him, a few people, monster guys, and
you'll be shocked how many people we've met because of, and that's why I said it's an honor system to it. That's what we were talking about last week.
Yeah,
when we talked about winging versus swimming.
Yep.
Like right now, it's like somewhat the same thing, but they just have an etiquette to it. And because they have an etiquette, it's like it's a totally different thing.
The thing is, in my opinion, I know we can just keep going. When we talk about swimming, right?
Yeah.
There almost feels like there's a level of disrespect. Like, how much can I clown on dude?
Yeah.
How hard of a cut can hit that this dude can't, right? Back in the day.
Oh my God.
Back in the day, and even when I ride with the guys like that I cross riding bikes with, it's not about hitting the cut. It's about all of us. You know, I'm gonna go back to the RPM days, back when used to run with Kenny, Eric, all those guys.
God, I remember.
Left lane crew back in the day,
Right,
Ivy.
right.
When you're whipping, we used to slow down to slow up traffic so a boy could cut in front of us.
Yeah.
You used to make gaps. You would take a gap and make a gap
For
your
somebody
boy.
else. Right.
Because
Don't
it
do that.
was we all going to the same place, we all chilling, we all vibing.
Yep.
Now it's you know how many videos you see where dude like
No hezzy. I'm nice.
Max in the back of somebody and they're like, yo, I got him. Yo, that's not cool.
But you speak about etiquette, right? But we are still tribal, like in the car community, right? Like I went to a Volvo meet.
Mhm.
It was 850s, it was S60Rs, it was C30s, and it was like 40 of us. And we all got on it, got back in formation. But when them BMWs jumped out, oh my God, you thought it was World War II, Sweden versus Germany. Like we was.
So you know what's funny about that? Because I was a Honda guy, so now it's a problem. Everywhere you go, it was a yo. Look at these Hondas. Look at these Hondas.
Yep.
And you like yo, kid, but we.
It's weird. It's like alliances, right? Because like we'll see Honda, and it would never be no issues. But like let a BMW pull up and be like, oh, we can't stand those guys.
We can't run with you.
Boost, I'm catching them.
And we up out of there. Shout to Crispy 211. He said this was fire, man. We appreciate you, man, for tuning in. We appreciate you. Please consider subscribing. We have a show every week, Saturdays. With that being said, it's one thing I wanted to talk about today. Not talk about, but I wanted to get you guys' opinion on it as well before we get out of here.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nissan GTR has officially been done. Right?
Finally.
They took the last book. Damn, you too, huh?
Good riddance. I can't afford it, so
you guys, man. So the Nissan GTR is finished, right? And I said to myself, and we didn't get a chance to talk about this last week, but the Nissan GTR being done, does that make room for the 400Z? Does that make room for the 400Z to finally sell? Because I don't know about y'all, but I haven't seen one in the street. Like I think I seen maybe one.
I swore I saw one, and I realized it was just the taillights of an Accord. The new
Damn.
Accord was the exact same as the Z. No, but like the 400Z had potential to do more, but they didn't strike while the iron was hot, and the hype died. So it's like, what's Nissan got to do? Bring out a 450Z without being under the GTR's umbrella? Like,
see, I would buy one used because the prices are dropping nice.
Well, here's the thing: you gotta find it. I haven't seen.
I found
one.
them.
I think I seen one in a dealership, and they wanted a lot of bread. But apparently, it looked like Nissan did not raise the price on that car, and it's actually cheaper than the Toyota Supra right now, the GR Supra.
No, that's what I'm saying. I saw them going for like 30s now, like used, like barely, like 2023 used, and manual blue leather.
I'd buy it.
I would buy it too, because my thing about it, I don't care. See what happens too. And then the car community, we start getting really bougie because we realize, like, yo, this was the car that we wanted from Nissan. We wanted a VR38 with a manual transmission,
and they did it.
And they gave it to us.
They did it. Shout to S.I. Sean. He always said that Q50, the
Q60,
the 4-door, the
Q50,
400, the 400R.
Yeah.
He said it was the best car. He said the only thing is that it was auto.
Yeah.
But also too, now I would buy. Yes, some people will say, yeah, it's the 370Z chassis, and all, but what was wrong with the 370 chassis?
Nothing. That's why it ended up in movie stardom.
Yeah. So the VR30 is a great engine. Like, even after this Genesis, I paid off. I'm almost done. I might just keep the Genesis for daily, but
moving to something like that.
370Z, the 370Z is cheap. The 350 prices are going in almost like $2.
You know why I find this funny, Kev? Because he is only mimicking what all car guys do.
Yep.
It turns into the daily, and you buy a project. Then that project turns into the daily, and then you buy
the project. Yep.
Don't get me wrong. The 3.8 that I have in the Genesis, I had so many ideas. Yo, supercharged. Get the LSD out of the Sport. The G80 Genesis, the one that come with the LSD.
Turned into a project.
Now I'm sitting there, I'm like, yo, this car pulls. I remember Q50, 3.7 Q50. I walked it because I'm rear-wheel drive. I didn't buy the all-wheel drive Genesis, so it's lighter.
Right.
I walked it. I said, yo, this car's got some good top end for a 3.8. I see why people like 3.8 motors.
Right.
But then I sat back and said, nah, don't do it. Don't start.
So easy to just go, especially with a firm now. You can turn around and
firm is the devil.
Yo.
If
we had a firm back in the 2000s,
I'd have had a whole car. $200 a month payment.
You in bankruptcy court, like, all right, so how did you end up with $50,000 worth of debt in 2006? You have, man.
On the parking lot. It's out there.
Then the CRX might have been built though.
Yo, I can't front, kid. Yo, and that's the thing. It's like you just don't listen. The one thing about projects is that they're never over, and they all have their hills that you got to climb with them.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like my CRX right now, for what it's worth, that K20, I could never find that again right now.
No,
and it's a K20 Type R engine. So now it's like, now find that. So not only that, locating the hubs. I'm going 5-lug with the CRX. So now it's a process. You got to get the hubs machine. I found somebody that did the work and had it sit inside. Perfect, right?
Right.
JDM front. I mean, JDM seat. I lost pieces that I needed for the seat. I had to find just the belts and pieces.
Sorry to cut y'all off. I'm getting a car for to go to work. You know, you should tell me like get a car so don't beat up your car. Genesis don't really do too well on gravel.
Right.
So I found a 95. Phil found it for me. I might get a 95 Pathfinder with the 5-speed auto. Remember the box Pathfinder, the last one?
He said the QX4 was the brother of that,
no,
right?
the one before that, the first generation Pathfinder with the 2 shifters. I might buy it. The dude wants $1,000 for it, negotiable.
Yo,
and it runs.
I would want to buy it, but I'd be so scared.
Oil leaks, bro. I'd be like, it's about to leak. Like, regardless.
Hey,
like go to Walmart, just pick up like
what's the cheap oil they have from Walmart that's recycled? Supertech.
And put it in.
So yo, fuck Supertech.
Yo, remember that? What was it? The 3000 series Mobile One. It wasn't. It was just conventional oil, like like that.
Remember, I keep referencing the Caddy. Yo,
Supertech.
every 1,000, I gotta add oil. And that's just leaking.
Yo, 5 quarts of Supertech is like $16.99.
Yo, I'm like, I'm overdue. I literally was like, I'm overdue for an oil change. No, I'm not.
I used to
just keep topping it up.
I think Supertech made it synthetic. I think I put it in the 1J just to burn it. Like, it didn't. Yo, it still stayed gold in the 1J. Yeah. And I beat the crap out of that engine.
Shout out to my guy Aaron Raw. Aaron Raw went on with us when we did our run to the Dragon, Enter the Dragon, went to the Dragon's Tail.
Yeah.
Oh man, it was a great trip. It was a great trip. With that being said, we are here in the building and we are getting to the end. Shout out to Aaron Raw said no lies. The firm is the devil. But with that being said, we are here and we're gonna jump right into our next little segment before we get up out of here for the day. This is one of my more favorite ones. Shout out to S.I. Sean. Know he out there somewhere freaking. Let's get into this a little bit. Let's make it happen.
Legends of Auto. Real legends never die.
All right, y'all. Legends of Auto today. So today's Legend of Auto because we have Kev Paray in the building, aka our motorcycle instructor, aka our expert, aka mind your throttle hand. And you don't need a heavy motorcycle because you can't ride anyway.
Keep that posture right and the wrists flat, you know?
The posture right and the numbers flat. But with that being said, honorary Freeze here. We're going to go into our Legend of Auto today, and that's going to be the 2000 to 2001 Yamaha R1 and R6.
Oof.
Now, do you remember when those hit the street, Ken?
Yo, honestly, everybody, if you had one, even now, if you pull up an R1 or an R1M,
yes,
yo, everybody's just like,
people were wilding back then.
Yo, and even the R6, you can't buy them anymore. But let me tell you, if you're trying to buy an R6 right now, used, you paying through the nose.
20-something thousand.
Yeah, you're paying, and it's beat. But those bikes, definitely paved the way for your performance wars. Those bikes definitely, drew the line in the sand and said, "Come see me."
Yeah,
because those bikes, those R1s at Yamaha, it's like nothing else.
They kicked in the 2000s. That was between the kind of bikes of the 90s and 2000s.
So what's funny is I'm glad you say that, right? Because in 2000, Yamaha introduced a series of changes to improve the R1. At that time, was the 98. Remember the 98 R1 and R6? That's when they kind of really started. But the 2000 was very important because that was the grasshopper headlights. Remember, things started to change a little bit, and in the street, it was a battle. At that, and I'm only going to go for the street. As far as was with the bike, we can get into it a little bit. Had 127 horsepower at the rear wheel.
Damn,
crazy.
Yep.
But you got Ducati's 150, the S1000 double R. They putting out.
But the technology is different though. Back then, I was just raw.
Oh yeah, top end output remained the same. Change to the engine management system. Then the previous R1, they said they reduced drag coefficient and they changed the seating. So when they talk about that, they talk about how light these bikes were. Now, these motorcycles right here, these are the ones where you would see dudes wheeling them crazy. They was crashing them, and it was so lightweight. But I'll never forget it because it was either this or was the 2001 Diamond Headlight Suzuki GSXR 1000. And that right there was the battle of the streets right there.
If it was like, and what was that movie, man? There was a biker movie back in the day. Biker Boys, where they had the street bikes, the sportsters, the sport bikes.
Yes.
Yo, and that was the thing. It was like, yo, I got 1,000. And it was like, line it up. Let's go. Let's do it. That was a huge part of the culture.
It was a huge, and that's why I say, I believe, just like how you just said, Yamaha really changed. Don't get me wrong, Suzuki at that time, you had the 95. Because even when you go back, let's say we go back 5, 6, 7 years prior to that, you had the 95 GSXR 1100. That was another game changer. You had the Honda Interceptor. There were bikes that were just changing the street culture at that time. But this one right here really lamented itself because, one, it was super powerful.
Yeah.
Right? Two, it was super lightweight. Everybody wanted one. And if you couldn't get the one, you could get the R6.
Yep.
And let me tell you something. Those bikes right there, to me, they dominated for a long time. And around this time also was the time where Valentino Rossi, if you was watching MotoGP around that time, now he's getting into the Yamaha, because I believe when he first started, he started with Honda.
Yeah.
He moved on from Honda. He ended up going to Yamaha, and he created what I like to call the Go bike. It said "Go" and exclamation points all over the bike. Navy blue. He ended up winning MotoGP with Yamaha, and then he took them for a long time. I believe he won 3 with them before they had got their next rider that they was going to concentrate on. He moved on. He came back. Beautiful story, but I will say, 2000 to 2001. Yamaha R1 and R6.
Yep. But that's where the term Street Rossi comes from. Guys would take those bikes and try to ride them so hard because, Rossi's doing it. I got the same bike as him.
But they don't got the skills.
No. And that's why when I tried, the guy who sold me the VTX, it was like, hey, for the same money, I'll sell you my R1. It was a project as well.
Yeah.
And I actually quoted the insurance on both. The VTX only added for full coverage, added like $20 a month to my policy. When I tried to get the R1, it was like $350 a month on top of what I was already paying for the V-Strom. I was like, I'm good.
But you know what? They're probably looking at rates of like people having accidents.
Oh, of course.
Because they're like, how many people were crashing R1s back then?
And not only crashing,
going through gates. Oh yeah, well
now.
Not only crashing. Think about what the damage you do to other people's property.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? It's gonna be flying around.
I think a dude went through the gate at Roy Wilkins. You know the iron gates. Yeah. He went through it. Like I don't know how a body goes through the gate. But he must have been flying down Merritt.
You know what's crazy?
I remember that guy too.
He probably didn't. All I remember, I passed by. All I saw was a bike on the sidewalk and a hole through the gate, and he went through.
I think he was Southside Soldiers, one of their riders. I remember
Rest
that.
in peace, man.
I remember that. That's what I'm saying.
I was right there when it happened.
When I started riding, these are the things that was happening. So it was like you can't just be reckless. It was like, people died off of other people's silliness. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The most dangerous part, I tell people all the time, when you ride a motorcycle, the most dangerous places you could be is an intersection. And it doesn't mean a red light, green light intersection. I mean somebody backing out of their driveway could kill you. But with that being said, 2000 to 2001 Yamaha R1 is
Legends of Auto. Real legends never die.
That was one of my favorite bikes. And had I not got a Suzuki GSXR 1000 or when I bought my 750, I was looking at the R6. But it was one of those kind of things where everybody had them in the street. So in my head, that means that they high on the death list.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And boy, was I wrong because they stole my 750 within the first year of me. Freaking.
So when you steal a bike, right, it's the same way like a car. You just jack it or you just roll it out the driveway.
Well,
Depends.
It depends on how it's chained up.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, they ended up catching a guy. I think I told the story one time before. They ended up catching a guy that stole the bikes. He turned state's evidence, started snitching. They found 85 bikes on their way to Istanbul, Turkey.
Wow.
And
so your bike is in Turkey.
Yeah, most like some Turkish kid was out there enjoying my
Whipping,
GSXR 750. So a good insurance company said, bro,
Here you go. Here's the brand.
gave me a couple dollars. And I said, you know what? I'm going to give it back to Suzuki. Give me that $1,000. But with that being said, we are here at Rally Radio. It's the bearded one in the building. We got my guy, Kev. He's tuned in today. Kev Paray, a.k.a. our motorcycle instructor, a.k.a.
This was fun, guys. Honestly, great time.
And we got the nose hunter in the building.
Crikey, mate.
You already know what it is. Shout to the nose hunter. He's in the building. I want to shout out everybody who tuned in, who watched us today, man. We appreciate everybody who came in and actually enjoyed the show. Shout to my guy, Aaron Raw. Shout to Crispy 211. Shout to Marlon, resident Toyota guy. Seneca. Shout to Big Ant, Mr. 2J Castings. I think that is just Mr. 2J, but I like how he added that name to it. Shout to Clarence Alexander. You already know what it is. Shout to my guy, Sean Parker, Anthony Green. Shout to SP the Dawn, Brown Hornet. Shout to everybody who tuned in. Shout to Jessica Grandy. Shout to my dude, Corey Bradford. Shout to my sister, Tanya Postel. Shout to Green. Shout to Coach K. Shout to my mom. Shout to Vinny Sereno. Race Harley. You already know what it is. We appreciate everybody who tuned in with us today, man. Shout to my guy, Kev. You got any lasting words you want to leave on the people before you get out of here?
Hey, guys, listen, regardless of cars, bikes, whatever, be safe. It's always fun, but just make sure if you're doing it right.
That's what I'm talking about. I know my man Seneca like, wow, that was wow. Shout to the nose hunter. You want to give any shout outs, kid?
Yeah, man. Shout out to the whole Bars and Hoops family, the whole Rally Radio.
Let's go.
I'm definitely allowing me to come back another week.
Let's go.
Definitely want to, thank you for coming as well.
Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate Bars and Hoops.
fun.
Pop.
It was fun.
Guys, thanks again.
And be safe. Be safe because you don't want to end up in Central Bookings eating 2 peanut butter sandwiches, cheese sandwiches, and drinking a warm milk. Be safe out there.
All because you want to hit triple digits on the belt. So with that being said, we appreciate everybody. We will be back here next week, Saturday, 12 noon. But don't forget, next week we're going to have our very first speed and greet. A lot of people been hitting me up. Listen, we're going to get the location going. You know we don't like to put it out there for everybody.
Yeah.
We're going to have it in there for our group. And we also going to be creating a WhatsApp group so that everybody can know what's going on. So with that being said, we appreciate everybody once again. And until next week, we are out.
Drop the clutch, hit the gas. Rally Radio, where the fast life meets the fast lane.
Yeah.
You're now tuned into Bars and Hoops Radio. Where the world of hip-hop and sports live.
Dropping the clutch and then I hit the gas. Wheels screeching, tires burning, I'm flying past. Gotta get home quick, don't wanna miss the class. They schooling you on whips and how to make them fast. Talking about everything from cars to planes. What's hot, what's next, and how to flip the game. They talk in my language, we speak the same. That whip talk complex, but yet they keep it plain. From the news, the interviews, they keep it cool. They give reviews, everything from parts to tools. Can't lose, come to whips, they not no fools. Don't miss the show, the start time is noon. The bearded one, S.I. Sean, they crazy though. You can't miss it, tune in to Rally Radio.
Where the fast life meets the fast lane.